Welcome to the Condor DM show, baby. What's up? Tonight, I'm covering a game I've been mentioning for a long time. Unknown Armies, a conspiracy theory-based tabletop role-playing game. That's sort of the aim. It aims at that subject, right? Conspiracy theory. And I've covered quite a few now conspiracy theory-focused games, right? So another one's going to be Unknown Armies. Tomorrow night, I'll be covering Tribe 8. Oh my. real life will eat you alive in this world, right? I don't got a soundproof room, so I warn people, right? I live around a very active area. You never know what you're going to hear in the background. So just part of life. Part of life. Right. You know what's weird? You go to check out somebody's video you've been told about, only to feel like you're watching like the greatest hits of your own content. You go watch the person and it's almost like they've heard all your streams and your videos and they've taken what you said and they put it together in a video. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're just repeating me, like the greatest hits of my own content repeated back at me by another content creator, a very sizable OSR content creator. I was like, because I went and checked out this video recently. I'm like, okay, I said, man, that's everything I just said, man. I know you watch the content sometimes. Come on, dude. You're just reflecting back to me my own words and my own ideas. It's like, I'm glad I'm giving you content. I'm glad I'm giving you ideas for your video. I'm not too mad, but I was like, and let me guess, you won't mention my name, and it's all going to be your wisdom. Yeah, of course it is. Of course. You knew all that beforehand. You mentioned all that previously. No, you haven't. Storytelling, sandbox, right? Bringing the world to life, the experience. I mean, everyone knows I've been repeating that in my content for like the last 2 weeks consistently. I've been drilling on this, drilling over and over again. And then I hear some other guy go on. He's like, I know he sees the content. I'm like, okay, it's like my greatest hits for the last so many weeks. You're just reflecting it all back to me as if it's your ideas. So boring. But you want to know why? I shouldn't get too mad. Some guys on here, no matter how big their YouTube channels are, they just have a hard time coming up with things to say or videos to put together. So I shouldn't be surprised that a guy with an OSR channel that's a little larger than mine has to reflect back to me what I've been saying for a long time now. Just like my greatest hits recently from like, not just 2 weeks, like more like 3 to 4 weeks, probably like the last month. I just watched the video and it's like storytelling, which I've been drilling on. Like that's not what we do here with D&D. Sandboxing, which he goes on about. The experience in the world being very important, right? How that goes. And he puts all my statements together. All the things I've been drilling on for like the last so many weeks. And this guy with a bigger OSR channel just reflects all my words back to me. I'm just like, oh, dude, I'm glad you like my content. At least I know you're watching, right? Anyone who's a regular here will know what I mean. I've been going on about sandbox, about how D&D is not storytelling, about the experience being the most important thing, and that you're just not playing a board game, so you bring things to life through the activity of doing all these things together. And then it's like I've been drilling on this for a straight month in detail, sandbox, the whole 9 yards. And then I hear some OSR guy just get on, make a video as if it's his ideas, as if it's his words, and just reflects back to me my greatest hits of like the last month. I'm like, dude, I'm glad I'm providing you with video content. I appreciate you watching. Guy. I know you'll be watching later. So I'm glad you're liking the content, my guy. I'm glad there's a lot of YouTubers out there that enjoy my content. They enjoy it so much, they repeat what I say as if it's their words in their videos. But like I tell the audience, why wait for him to say it? I've been saying everything he said in his video for the last month. Get it here first, baby. Get it here first. I'm way ahead of him. And I said more details around that. I've given more information than he provides in his one video. So the value is here, baby. And if what I'm saying is so good that other YouTubers have to take it to make video content, well, I mean, if other YouTubers have to use my words and what I'm saying, if they do, well, and just imagine how much you're getting here. There's lots of things that were not said in a recent video where it's just like my greatest hits of the last month. I'll just reflect it back at me. It's like, dude, I can make your video just by taking clips from my streams of me talking. I'm glad you enjoy the content. I'm glad that. Not that I get mentioned in the process. Yeah, unknown armies. Talk about Nova Scotia. Tribe 8 is the Canadian conspiracy theory game, and I'll be talking about that tomorrow. So that is a Canadian. That's in the Canadian setting. So that's a conspiracy game where the setting where the whole game is located in Canada. So we will be getting to that tomorrow. Unknown armies. Well, it's interesting. What do you think of Shag Harbor? It's how much do I know about it? There are some limitations to my knowledge on this thing. It's not limitations. I've just had conversations over the years where I'm trying to think, how much do I remember about it? And a lot of people believe it. It's not dismissed as some crazy gimmick. It's considered a very, very, how can I say, a very serious conspiracy. Whenever you mention it to people that are from Nova Scotia, where I'm at, automatically people are like, yeah, that was crazy. Like, nobody dismisses it as like, haha, little green men crazy. No, I got to tell you, Pilo, I just had to mention at the start of this stream. I went and watched OSR guy sometime this morning, some like late in the hours. And I just watched his video and I'm like, dude is just repeating everything I said for the last month. And I've been drilling on it. It's like, that's what I say. I say I'm the source and I lead the conversation. When I tell people that, I'm not joking. What I say will be what comes up in other people's streams, and it will be their content, and they'll talk as if it was their ideas. It's like the whole guy's video. It's just the D&D is not storytelling. The sandbox stuff I've been drilling on. Now, you're a regular here. You know I've been drilling on this. Drilling on these details. It's like, yeah, okay. And I know the guy who watches the content around here. So I'm like, well, okay, fair enough. He'll go on and he'll get, because a lot of guys don't want to like me here. It's like they've heard me say this stuff, but they're going to go like his stuff. They'll reward him for repeating what I say. But I say, hey guys, I said I give more details about what he's talking about than he does, because he doesn't know much about it. He's repeating what I say. He's copying me. And dude, I've been saying it for a month. So why wait so long for him to put out a video? You just come here. I've said it all and more. And so you can get tomorrow's news here today, right? And he's not even touching on everything I said. So it's like I say so much more about the same topic, the storytelling, the sandboxing, the details. Like, man, he just tells you about sandboxing in some vague way. I explain it. Come here, get real information, get good information, get something that will help you at your game. All right, so much more. Again, hear tomorrow's news today if you come here. Right? Why wait? Why wait for somebody to have to listen to me for a month and then just make a video based on what I said? Why not just come listen to me for the month? I got it all covered. Anyway, back to the unknown armies. I'm excited, man. I mean, you know, Philo, I've been mentioning this game vaguely on purpose. Vaguely. Right? Leaving people I'll keep telling them it's conspiracy. Unknown armies, conspiracy, without saying too much. And the Tribe 8 thing, I'll cover that tomorrow. That's something close to me. I put it on my main show for Sunday, which is, Sunday is sort of the main day for me no matter what. And that's set in Canada. So my fellow Canadians, if you want to know about a conspiracy tabletop role-playing game, like a conspiracy subject focus TTRPG that is, presented in Canada, like in a Canadian setting. Tribe 8, that's what I'm covering tomorrow. Today, though, is classic Unknown Armies. And of course, the versions I cover of these games are the earliest editions because that's how I got them for free. People bought them. It's just like when I go get it printed or if I found something at the library, it's usually like an early edition. And it's not like the guys who have these games have went out and just they bought usually the expanded or the second edition. So very few times do I get to a second edition of a game. Like I just drill in on the original edition because I didn't go purchase 50 games when I was young. I had my D&D, and then for me to explore a lot of games, I would just go to guys or libraries or wherever where I could find some original, sort of first draft of a game, and they'd let me print it from them. And would I go out and buy a second edition? Usually not. I would never invest money like that. I always sort of like gaming mostly for free. I invest a little bit in D&D, but most of my gaming, and there was a lot of it, it just didn't cost me. I was very wise about borrowing material, copying material, printing material from other people. And I was around a lot of gamers. Well, a lot of people that, how can I say, ironically, we have a lot of people in the hobby that will get books, collectors. They buy the game. And it's like, I'd be like looking at a game like Unknown Armies. Dude, you got Unknown Armies. What's that? Conspiracy theory. Like, did you play it much? He's like, no, I got it, but I haven't tried it. It's like, can I borrow it? He's like, you're going to try it, aren't you? Yeah, probably, if I like it. It's a D100% percentile game. Right, so it is that. D100. Pretty simple, straightforward on the mechanical rules. It's not meant to be hard in the mechanic area. Right, but it is unique. And for the 90s, it was... Look, you might hear about new rules coming out now, like 5e has advantage or disadvantage. Not really. That rule has been around forever. So it's just something new, maybe used officially in D&D, but not something like a new rule. That's disadvantage and advantage has been around for decades. So let's not lie. You can find the actual rules, that rule and other games previous in the old school. You can also find it commonly host ruled in, especially around D&D. So back in the 80s and 90s. So to pretend that that's new, it might be new to WotC. It's not a new rule. Most gaming rules or mechanics were discovered through the late 70s, 80s, and in the 90s. Most new rules. Like most gaming rules. Because what you find out is at one point, you run out. There's only so many dice, only so many rules that are going to be usable in combination. And once you get to a certain combination, even if you call something else, it's the same thing. Hero points, style points. Like, you might have a new name for it, but is it really a new rule? No. So that's why back in the 80s, I cover a lot of games that actually had the rules for the first time. It's got awards like the Ghostbusters, shit like this. Like, old school really teaches people more than what you think, especially about design. And it's because new school just doesn't have much. There's not much new coming out with new school. Barely any new ideas. Right? So I did a video. My recent video was about D&D again, about being allergic to the game. And I get it, people, because again, as Philo knows, my storytelling gimmick is storytelling in D&D is used as an agenda pusher to avoid things. But what's funny is when you get to actual storytelling tabletop role-playing games, none of the actual storytelling games actually allow you to avoid these things. Like, that's the funny part. You go to Pendragon, you can't avoid character death. You don't avoid the challenges. And that's a story. That's a focused, intentional, true storytelling game. Yet the gaming aspect is still respected. So basically what I would say is, if you're going to storytell with D&D, you can't freely play it. That's the point of storytelling. Like in Pendragon, you can't just say what you want. You got to speak as your character. That becomes important to the story. So in storytelling games, the pressure on players is they're not aware. I mean, unless they've been with a game master who's just running it in a generic way, in an incorrect way, away from the designer intents, storytelling games have an expectation on players. So now you can't, you know how you just talk freely as your character in D&D? Not in a storytelling game, you can't do that. Because you're telling a story. And if you're collaborating, you have to watch what you say between the characters and NPCs. And character development is deep in storytelling. You have to watch, as a player, you have to watch every word. Castle Falkenstein makes this a big issue, and that's a storytelling game where every line of dialogue a player speaks has to be managed by the game master. And if you step out of line, not talking like in a Victorian romance character in that game, the game master is given an order by the game to get you back in check, because you have to watch how you speak. That's real storytelling. You have a choice. Either storytell with intention, that's the only way you do it, or you freely play a game that's not storytelling at all and the story emerges. You can't do both. So in the actual storytelling games, in Hollow Earth Expedition, where you're doing sort of a TV show, even that is somewhat managed. You have to play more in timeline. You go to DC Heroes, you can't just not speak like a hero. You go to Prince Valiant, you got to speak a certain way. You go to Pendragon, these are all storytelling games. You have to speak a certain way. If you go to Castle Falkenstein, you have to speak a certain way. The pressure on players is to actually get that right, and you're not free just to say whatever the fuck you feel like saying. So, in the second you get away from storytelling, you can simply speak in character however you want. Then you're playing a game. You're no longer storytelling as a player. You're not collaborating. It's now all random towards the game. Now you're saying stuff to get you ahead, to get you certain equipment, to get you past a bridge. That's a game. That's a mental challenge game with barriers. When you're storytelling, it's not just you speak to get over to the thing. You speak to make sure you present your character accurately. That's storytelling. So, see, storytelling, if you're doing it properly, means you don't just worry about speaking to get to the other side of the bridge. You worry how you present your character. That's real storytelling. So when I tell players, if we do a storytelling game, you got to do the telling part. And telling means how you present your character becomes important when you're storytelling. If you do not care about how you present your character, if you only speak how you want, and then you speak about trying to get a deal from the merchant, trying to get across the bridge, when you hit barriers, now you're playing a game. That's a role-playing game. We're using aspects from acting and from storytelling as part of the game. Yeah, there's a connection, a feeling you can get so you can understand your character for gameplay, so you can understand decisions for character development. Are we doing character development on the level of storytelling? No. The dialogue in the game is to get you a better deal, to get you somewhere, to get your group through something. That's a game, right? In a storytelling situation, even when you go to talk casually, there's pressure on you for how you present your character from the get-go until the end. And if you're not doing that, you're not storytelling. So, and then you get to the actual plays. There's another thing, combination of storytelling agenda bullshit. So what's storytelling? We don't actually do storytelling with D&D. But what do? Plot armor, avoid challenges, avoid character death, rule of cool again, avoid challenges, to basically avoid the game, to avoid the harder parts of the game. Now, why are we okay with that for the age of Mercer? Why is storytelling good for the age of Mercer? Because actual plays is about live plays with an audience, right? And a lot of the guys who are amateur actors doing actual plays, not just normal people, a lot of people just play the game the way it is sometimes on actual plays, but when you're trying to make a career out of it, the actual plays, what are they doing? They're trying to make sure the game is not embarrassing due to the actual audience watching. Would character death be good for the story, for the audience that is watching the game? That's why storytelling in these agendas become a thing, because now you want to avoid character death. Would that challenge of you falling on your face, would that look good in a live play game? Actual play. So actual plays in combination with fake story, because we're not storytelling bullshit agendas of avoiding challenges and avoiding character death. These have destroyed the game, because what's the purpose of a tabletop role-playing game? Is it to make a good, fun, entertaining whatever for the watching audience? Or is it for the people that are participating in the game? What is it? Is the game for the audience? Character death is not good for the audience. Character death is part of the game that challenges you. The rule of cool, overcoming the challenge in the game. Well, you don't fall on your face. That sounds better for the audience. What does that have to do with the game you are supposed to be taking part in, where you could drop something or fumble? Right? The game is meant for the people at the table that are participating in the game. But what has storytelling and actual plays done? They made players allergic to the game. And then how funny is it when you go to actual storytelling games that intently tell a story, like are there to tell stories, they have more respect for the game than the bullshit agenda of storytelling what D&D does. You go to Pendragon, that's extra storytelling. You still do not get plot armor. You have to face the challenges, and you got to face character death. So even in the games where they intend, even Castle Wolfenstein, the same thing. You cannot avoid the challenges of the game. It respects the game. So we're not storytelling with D&D, and what we are is arguing for things where we're not respecting what the game is. It's made a lot of players today in both the old school and new school are affected by this. A lot of players today are allergic to the game because they're more focused on an audience and storytelling in a bullshit way. I just don't get it. Storytelling is how you present your character from the get-go. Every single line. Not just you, like the second you only worry so much about dialogue with, say, the faction leaders. See, D&D says you got to do social interaction. But what are they doing? That's a game. Remember, it's a game. In a game, you can say whatever you want in character. Right? In a game. Now, if you're telling a story, you can't just say whatever you want. How you present your character is important. Castle Wolfenstein, Pendragon, all games, when it comes to telling a story, it matters how you present your character casually and even when you face challenges. In a D&D game, what you say casually is up to you because you're playing a game. And the only areas where they're going to overly enforce social interaction for sure is in the game challenges. You got to get over the bridge. You got to talk to the guard. You want the faction leader not to freak out. Maybe you can convince him to let something go. You got to negotiate with the enemy to avoid the fight. You negotiate with the merchant to get the price down because it benefits your group. That's game social interaction, hence role-playing game. That's the combination. That's where I try to tell people we use a bit of acting. We use a bit of storytelling. Then we use a bit of game, and we mix that all together for a combination package. And the second you say D&D storytelling, you've lost the plot. You've completely lost the plot. Yes, we're using elements. So when somebody comes back to me and says as a reaction, but we do this. Well, okay, did I just spend 10 minutes saying we use elements of storytelling? Yeah. Well, then if you point out one of the elements we're using, are you actually arguing against my argument in my case? No. Could you be more intelligent when you listen to what I say to make sure you know what your point you're making? Like, why sit there and go, here's a way to falsely dismiss what you're saying so I can stay in the delusion of bullshit that's not true? Dude, just don't stay in the delusion. It's just not true. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm right. And you should want to be right. Why live in a fucking lie? Like, why get to the point where the purpose of the storytelling, to call it storytelling, is to say, avoid all these game gimmicks. It makes people allergic to the game. They forget the game. And you see what happens. The more you disconnect from what the game is, the more you're performing to avoid challenges or performing for an audience, the more you do not dedicate yourself to this hobby. You don't dedicate yourself to the gimmick. It's not a passion for you. You don't enjoy it. It's harder to escape, like escapism. It's harder to get into a flow of game. Sessions feel more tedious when you're not playing with your own mind. Like when you're not into the game, actively participating, it's harder to get into the flow. This is why guys go from, oh man, we love 8 hours to, well, when we're performing for other people, when we're avoiding all the game elements from the challenges to character death, and then we don't care. Like, first off, we stop caring. That's what happens to people that stop caring. That's why you see the guy on the phone with them talking about the gas station joke on the side and barely paying attention to the game. They lose respect because they're not participating and not in the flow to begin with. And then what happens? It turns sessions into 2 or 3 hours of tedious nonsense. Tedious nonsense. And then you wonder why people don't want to play 8 hours today. The second you stop pretending something is something it's not, and you just go, well, let's just play the game, D&D. And you play it in the way I'm suggesting with all the elements included, but you're not trying to pretend to be a storyteller. And you make it more about your own participation instead of people watching, and you accept that you have to face challenges. You might fall on your face. There might be character death, so you got to worry. What does that do? If you don't get to face character death, you pay less attention to the game. There's less focus. If the rule, cool, and all these elements let you bypass the challenge, you're less concerned, you're less focused. You might not like, some people might want to get rid of character death for many reasons, but I tell them, character death and you falling on your face makes you worry. What does that do? It makes you focus on the game. People forget that the threat of character death makes you focus, and that focus gets you into the flow. It's so valuable. It's not just that it makes the game scary, character death. So much more to it than that. When you know you can lose your character at any moment, you focus more. You absolutely focus during the game. When you know you can fall on your face and you won't just look slick, you focus to avoid all these negativities, but they have to be a threat. Falling on your face has to be something that can happen. Character death has to be something that can happen. And when these things are applied properly to the game, it makes you focus on the game. And that focus does what? Gets you into the flow. And that flow does what? It makes you participate in the game and not be concerned about who's watching. And what does that do when you're in the flow and paying attention more? It makes you enjoy the experience more because you're more focused on it. You get into a flow, and no longer is it a tedious 3 hours. Now you're ready to play for 8 hours. So that's why storytelling gimmicks are no good, because I always ask people with D&D, well, okay, if it's storytelling, you want to call it that. What are the many things you're justifying with it? They just go over it. They'll give it away. I'll hear the plot armor thing. Yeah. Or somebody will say this, like somebody said recently on one of my streams in chat. He just used the perfect way of explaining it, because you out yourself with this stuff. He was saying he was being a bad player. It was Chaos Goblin, but it was okay because I moved the story ahead. So, plot armor avoids character death. Rule of cool avoids the challenge. Chaos Goblin allows you to be a shit player, but you can excuse crap play and not improve because of the story being important. At what point does calling D&D storytelling become a positive thing? Anybody got an answer? At what point does calling what we're doing with D&D storytelling become a positive thing? And is it accurate? Are you watching every word you say with your character from the start of the game? Like an actual storytelling tabletop role-playing games like Pendragon. You got to watch exactly what you say, give it a timeline and where you're at. Castle Focus Tide, you got to watch what you say. You can't go into DC Heroes and not talk like a proper hero character. You can't talk. That's just unacceptable. Prince Valiant, can you talk a certain way? No. Right? So you need to be able to function in the world, and how you present your character in storytelling is really important, from the casual moments right up to the point where you're trying to get through a door. So we're just not doing that. That's why you have freedom in D&D, because you're playing a game. There's no pressure to tell a story. So it's, I always ask people, if you're going to call it storytelling, first off, tell me what positives come from doing that. And then tell me why you're not doing what actual storytelling games do. Like if you're storytelling, you copy Pendragon, right? No. You copy Castle Funkenstein, right? No. Well, why not? There's storytelling. And what they're doing is proper storytelling. If you're not doing that, you're not doing the storytelling. Remember, it's just elements. That's why we do a little bit of role play as far as speaking in character. It's not that we have to worry about telling a story, because that's not our intent. It's just an element. What we're mainly using to speak in character for is to plan something out. It's all about making the group function together, making a plan for the challenges you face in the game. And then other bits of social speak out loud is getting the merchant to drop a price, getting the faction leader to make a deal, getting the enemy not to fight you, getting across the bridge with the guard. So again, these are elements, but overall we're not storytelling. We're borrowing bits of it, bits of acting, bits of storytelling. Character development, why is that? Is it to tell a story? No, it's just so you can have an understanding of who your character is for the sake of experience, for your personal involved experience, and to help you make decisions easier. It's a lot easier to know what your character would do when you've developed a character. Okay, how would he face the challenge? Well, I know how my character would. And there's a value, there is a connection. So it becomes a personal thing, not a focused storytelling gimmick. Now, from all that stuff, you can have a story emerge. So that's where I say players are allergic to the game now. Many players are allergic to the game. It's so sad to see, because I see it so commonly. I'll walk around to guys, like, so common. It is so common to hear, we're collaborating on the story. Well, you're not, but I mean, you keep saying that bullshit. It's just an absolute lie. It's an absolute lie. It's not even remotely true. If you want to collaborate on a story, that means you collaborate on exactly how you present your character in the casual moments and outside in every moment of the game. Are you being that focused on how you speak in dialogue? No, you're not. So until you are, you're not storytelling. And you can't bypass these elements and still call what you're doing storytelling. Because you can't write and have all the characters in a novel talking gibberish, not making sense. Right? So every line of dialogue in an actual story is all about, from the casual moment to whatever, is presenting characters. It's all about character development in the deepest way, not for decision making, just for the sake of you understand the character for the story. Wish people would listen to me more, because my arguments are to get people to focus on playing the game. That's all it is, because I think your personal experience is way more valuable than actual plays where you worry about an audience. Or it's, again, the excuse of rule of cool to avoid challenges, plot armor to avoid character death, or the excuse of, like, the thing I heard the other day, I was a chaos goblin, meaning I was a trash player who played like trash, but the outcome was the story was pushed further along. So what does that mean? It means you won't improve as a player. Exactly. It means you'll avoid the challenge that makes you focus on the game. If the challenge is in your face and you got to worry about it, you'll focus to avoid falling in your face. But guess what? Rule of cool. Don't got to worry about it. Not going to focus. Not going to care. Plot armor. hey man, would it be cool to have the character die? So I'm not going to worry about it too much. But if you were worried about your character dying, you'd focus more on the game. And that focus again gets you to a flow. And that flow gets you to the point of playing 8-hour sessions like breathing air and enjoying it. So there, I'll stop repeating that fact, but I just wanted to back that video up because I know a lot of people are going to hear it and be like, yeah, well, dude, what the, like at a certain point, I asked people in the hobby, what's more important to you? Winning a debate so you can be right, or learning the truth through debate, even if it means you're wrong? What's more valuable to you? You being right or the truth? Is it your ego, or do you just want to know what the truth is? Which is it? What do you value more? Truth or egotistic winning an argument even if you're wrong? You got to decide what you value the most. And my argument gets you back to focusing on the game, so you get back to your personal experience and not trying to avoid the challenges or character death, which leads to good things to flow, even though they're a threat and they're hard to handle. It also focuses you back on wanting to improve as someone who plays the game. And the experience becomes again about you and who you're gaming with, not people watching, which is what you should be worried about. Like people ask me all the time, I've done 70 live play sessions or actual plays online. And people are always asking, are you going to do one? I'm like, well, first, I'm not too worried about it because really the personal experience is what I'm concerned about, not the one online. The other thing is I don't worry about putting actual plays up because I always say to myself, look, people are going to know if you're full of shit about it. And the best way to test what I say, go back to the table. If you have any experience in what you're doing at the table, just listen to me. If I'm full of shit, you're going to know. You're going to feel it and know. Take back anything I say to the table and it will work. So the proof is in genuineness and people can feel it. So when I give advice out there, all I got to know is you have experience with something. So you'll know by the way I talk, well, Steven knows about it. He's not full of shit on that end. He obviously understands the game. Okay, what about these elements? Well, it's easy to test it. Easy to test it. Well, you got to prove it. Do I really? Right? Do I got to be mommy and daddy and hold your hand and prove everything? Come over here. You're so fucking incompetent. I got to show you an actual play because you can't get your head out of your ass and figure it out for yourself. How about you just get your head out of your ass and then I'm not going to fucking show you an actual play. I'm just speaking a genuine way to you, which you'll know and feel. And then you can go back to the table, understanding I know what the fuck I'm talking about, apply it, realize, okay, Steven's right. Of course I'm fucking right. I don't bullshit. It's not ego here. I just don't bullshit. I only say things or give advice about things I've actually done. So I always just make sure not to bullshit. It's not an ego thing. I know I'm going to be right, not because I think I'm right about everything. It's just because I don't just say everything I think out loud. I say what I know works. And then I coach every other opinion or guess in that proper language. I don't know for sure. I don't know your situation. I'm very honest with my language. So I don't sit there like a know-it-all. What I do is just, it's like, well, everything you say, you think you know. It's like, no. Out of like, possibly like there's like 100% of what I know. 30% could be guessing in that. I don't share a lot of my guesses or opinions or gap fillers with you. Now, if I did, and then I took all my assumptions and spoke with them like they're facts, well, if I'm doing that on the 100% scale, then I'm talking like I think I know everything. It's just, I've been doing YouTube for over 10 years and communicating with the public. So what I do is I go, well, instead of focusing on things where I'm not for sure on, I'll just focus on talking about the things I know for sure. That's all. So if you mistake in that as, everything he says, but then it's like people don't count what I'm saying. I love how people will notice things, but they're not analyze anything. It's like, you'll notice when I'm confident about something, but what about that moment when I'm saying I don't know for sure? Do you count it? Do you count that I'm being humble? How many people that judge you actually pay attention to how you actually speak? They'll hear something, it's like, oh, I disagree with that, but he's saying it like he knows it. Oh, he thinks he knows everything. And then 5 minutes later, I'll be saying to somebody who's asking me a question, well, I don't know that for sure, man. I'm not really sure about that. Well, if I speak that way, that means I'm not claiming to know everything. And that means I'm showing you a humble side. And I would not be saying that or in that situation if I thought I knew everything. So I'm showing you what you're claiming doesn't exist. You're putting a thing on me where that thing is it just doesn't hold water. It's important when you're judging public people. Like, man, I get it. I appreciate how the audience looks at this stuff. They're so selective in their the way they look at you and judge you. They're so selective. Like, it's easy when you hear me say something you don't agree with, just to paint me, the individual, as bad so you can dismiss what I said. That's what a lot of people do in the old school. Instead of because a lot of people, I'll say something they can't argue. And that really sours a lot of people. Imagine you say something and somebody doesn't want to agree with you, but they don't have a good argument against what you're saying. It's just all based on feelings. They just don't feel you're right, but they can't dismiss it in a credible debate. So what is a way, if you can't debate something that you disagree with, like you feel it, that you don't want to agree with, how do you dismiss that? What's your only other option? Well, then you have to attack my character, right? So you become selective, you become unfair, you put a standard on me you won't put on other people, because I guarantee I tell other people out there, you'll say things about me, you'll judge me in a certain way and say, oh, that's shit. And I'll be like, then I'll watch a YouTuber who does the same thing. I'll notice you do not criticize that guy. But the difference between me and that guy is this: that guy says what you agree with. So since you're not emotionally upset with him, suddenly the same issue with me is not an issue with him, because it wasn't an issue to begin with. You're just trying to degrade my character as a method of dismissing an argument you cannot debate. What a cheap, phony, two-faced, insecure way of dealing with things. And it's just people that can't be honest with themselves. And there's a lot of YouTubers, old school YouTubers, that are like this. A lot of them. And they're a disgrace. I'll call them out. It's like, well, you behave like kids, because that's how kids behave. Immature children. A mature fucking adult would take the time to think things over before running their mouth, before dismissing something. And people that are intelligent, because a lot of them pretend to be intelligent. Well, you're so fucking intelligent, give what I'm saying a fair shake. Don't look to degrade my character. Think about what I said. Even worse, a lot of guys around here think if they credit me with being right, or just give me a fair shake, that somehow that's going to boost my ego and tell people that I'm somehow better than they are. Stop being so fucking insecure. You're fine. Right? Just because I'm right about something doesn't make you foolish or bad or put you below me. I don't have this ego. I think I'm even with people on a certain level. But hey, at the same time, I don't undervalue myself. So I think, hey, compared to a lot of guys, I have more experience than they do. It's not about being better. I have more experience. So I bring some value to the table. And I always hope people appreciate the value, not attack it because they're insecure, which is see in real life, when you're not dealing with people on YouTube in the public, you're dealing with people in real life. They, instead of being insecure because we don't have audiences and you're not dealing with people like that in the hobby, they'll just accept if you know a bit more, because that's a value. They see it as a value. Like, Stephen really knows what he's talking about. Let's bring him over and ask him. Because they see it as a value for me to be part of that circle, because I know something. Here, because everyone's trying to be better than other people and scared to give anybody any credit, or they're trying to take somebody else's content, which is what I've seen with a pretty big OSR channel today, trying to give me the greatest hits of my own stuff back at me. It's like, dude, I'm glad you watch my content. I'm glad you can repeat all my fucking ideas back to me, but I know none of those are your fucking original thoughts. So good that you've been listening to my content, but hey. So I get a little pissy with some people around here. Pissy with people in the hobby in general, because a lot of people in the hobby are like this. And you got to push back against it. You can't just let shit go. That's what I've learned over the years too. You got to call stupid shit out. It's a shame because I want people to be. It's how do you break through to people? Because it's like, man, I'm saying things that are beneficial for people. So if I say it casually, the sad thing is, if I don't piss people off, they don't listen to me. So it's like, what's the point of saying anything if people aren't listening to begin with? Sadly, sometimes to get a point across, you have to make people mad at you. But at least they're listening. At least they're listening. Anyway, as far as the Shag Harbor thing and the Nova Scotia thing, Mr. Philo, back to that for a second. It's considered one of the most credible UFO stories that I've heard talked about amongst conspiracy theories everywhere, or conspiracy theorists everywhere. It's one story I keep hearing that has a lot of credibility. Do I remember every detail about it? No, but the credibility of it shocks me because there's a lot that are dismissed. There's a lot of stories out there dismissed. Is this game, Unknown Armies, all about that stuff? It's about a cult. It's about some weird things. Like, let me see. I have some notes on it. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give too much meat away. I don't want to just jump into it like that. Think of Unknown Armies like a bit of a conspiracy horror game. So put horror in there. Involve horror in the way you're going to look at the game. But unique because it's conspiracy theory horror. So in a way, it is more horror than anything with fantasy, gothic, monsters, stuff like that, right? So don't just think conspiracy as in like the alien conspiracy theory stuff, even though I would say there's a bit more of that, ironically, in the Tribe 8 game, which is tomorrow game. Again, any Canadians who come across this, if you're interested in conspiracy theory, you'll like this. You'll like the Unknown Armies. You'll be interested in hearing this. But tomorrow night is something a lot of Canadians might not even know about. The conspiracy theory focus game. That is, the setting is in Canada. Ooh, good stuff. Hey, baby. But think about like Lovecraft and stuff like that. So think about horror, right? Less about aliens and more about horror. That's the way I would describe Unknown Armies. Unknown Armies, you might even want to call it a horror game that is then secondary conspiracy theory, occult, secret societies. It's just using that for the horror gimmick. So it's not Call of Cthulhu, but it definitely has that approach of Call of Cthulhu is, in many ways, if you really think about it, is a semi-horror game, right? You're going into insanity, but not just semi. It is a horror game, right? So think about like Unknown Armies in that vein. Horror with the use of the conspiracy theory gimmick, and the conspiracy theory part is Freemasons, Illuminati, not so much alien. Think about like that Lovecraftian horror gimmick with that type of stuff, magic, monsters, stuff like that. That's Unknown Army. The Tribe 8 game I'll cover tomorrow is again in Canada. It's a Canadian setting is the main area, and that has a bit of a apocalyptic background. So that's where you definitely lean a bit more into the alien stuff. So that would have been a good question. Philo, you should almost remember this question. If you're here tomorrow night, bring that question up again, even just for people that might be in the chat, right? Just say, remember, I asked you about this. Bring that up again, because that would be more appropriate to the Canadian setting Tribe 8 game than talking about the occult, Lovecraftian, Unknown Armies. Interesting. It's just like Call of Cthulhu is obviously popular. And this game just has a unique way of being ran. It's considered unique for games where, again, there were so very few games with new ideas for gameplay, with new concepts, with unique approaches. because you almost owed them by the 90s when they're bringing this game out. Almost every idea you could imagine has been covered, and now every idea is, I mean, it's just coming in different names, right? It's like a lot less new ideas, just old ideas with different names, but maybe tweaks, right? Like hero points to style points, right? it's just taking some of the already ideas out there, so they're not so much new. That some of them are just tweaked. So what becomes almost new later when you start running out of ideas is how the combinations put together. So there's a lot of unique combinations that hit the market in the 90s, where it's like, oh, that's a weird combination. Never thought of that one. And it's hard to come up with new ideas. by what now? I mean, again, now advantage and disadvantage is considered new to 5e, but it's an old actual written out rule in games in the 80s and used as a host rule in D&D in the 80s and 90s. So advantage and disadvantage is just it's a copycat rule. It's not new. it's like taking hero points and just calling them, like, fun points. Look, I got this new rule, fun points. Oh, you mean hero points called fun points? Advantage and disadvantage is already done, already covered. So not new at all. But they touted it as a new idea. And we know a certain OSR guy out there that pretends that he come up with some new idea. I'm like, dude, you come up with an idea that was already in material. It was already in gaming material and host ruled and consistently by people. So not new disadvantage or advantage at all. Not even slightly new. It's like, I mean, I guess if you just hope that the customers are ignorant, that you can just claim an old rule is a new rule. I guess that's all they do with 5e. That's the advantage and disadvantage. It's just hoping the customer is so ignorant of what already came before. That's like a lot of these new games, like medieval authentic. I'm like, yeah, we already got that. And actually, what we got in the past is usually better, because it's not just AD&D; it's games built towards that in a unique way. So, like medieval authentic is way better expressed in the old school gaming than it is with any OSR clone. So, dude, being there, done that, got it covered. What about the occult that he's doing with it? Yeah, and we did it better in the old school. It's done better. It's actually done better. So, and instead of needing to buy that material, just come back to the old school. Find the game that's tailored to it. You can find all the information back here. And done in a way that's more suitable to the actual stuff. I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm just being real. It's just, again, it wasn't just a clone of D&D. It was a clone of ideas that already came before. And then a claim, it's like, well, I'm authentic. Yeah, we got that. We got that, dude. That's being done. Being done, covered, over, game over on that one. So I'm not trying to attack, but it's like, shit. I mean, I if you can get lucky enough that you hope the customers are ignorant enough that they don't know this stuff, you can pretend to sell them something old as new. And if the customer's a sucker enough for it, they'll buy your thing as if it doesn't already exist and exist in better ways in the past. Being real. But what is there for me to tell you about Unknown Armies? It's a straightforward game. It's like, put it this way: if I talk about too much about it now, I'll start giving it away. Like, it's not a huge game, but trust me, I'm holding back because it's going to be unique, and the mechanics are going to be unique, and I'm going to go through all that stuff later when I'm going to cover it. Right now, I'm waiting for a family member to get here because he got me my Pipeline Punch monster drinks, and when he gets here, I'm going to grab one. While we're in the middle of this, I'm going to pause for a second, run out and grab it. He's coming here. I asked him to pick those up for me. I was like, dude, could you pick these up? My uncle's like, yeah, I can do that for you. I'm like, thank you. Fuck. I just couldn't get out the door to get them. So I was like, I need some energy, and I want some energy drinks for tomorrow night too. So he's got me a few monsters, so I have some for tomorrow. The Tri-Bait game, the Canadian one, I'm really really excited, but I'm excited about both these games because I love them both, and I love conspiracy, occult. I love all that stuff. I don't mind Call of Cthulhu, but I can get really bored with the game. I like the sort of, I actually like this better, to be honest. The Unknown Armies, I actually like it a lot better. Unknown Armies is just you're not pigeonholed into the Cthulhu gimmick. It's like being able to explore stuff just a little bit more in a free way, right? And the rules are basic. Like to me, I don't care. Like Unknown Armies doesn't try to simulate perfect reality. And I'm fine with that because I'm not concerned about simulation. I am concerned about experience. And now, don't get it wrong. Let me be clear. Let me explain what I mean. Are you saying, Steven, you don't like this? No, I like a lot of things. So before you think I don't like something, what I mean is it depends on what experience you're getting from it. In some games, simulating certain things creates an experience the game designer wants, and I actually like it for that thing. So in some games, they don't concern themselves with simulating every detail, but they're trying to get a certain experience. And if I try it without those things and I like the experience, I don't pigeonhole myself. I'm not like many other nerds in the hobby that say, well, I don't like this. I just don't do that. Because what happens when you don't like one thing or two things? That means like 90% of the games that you could play are just, they're unavailable to you. If you don't like this, now you won't do all these things. I like everything. That's why it shocks people because a lot of public conversation online, you'll hear guys like that play Traveler not like D&D people. Because it is tribal. There is a lot, like nerds pigeonhole themselves so much into their gaming that suddenly, like it's like the guys that don't like D&D, they have a simple way of looking at D&D and degrading D&D. They don't consider the fact that many people ran D&D in ways they're not considered. Like they'll say, this is D&D and this is how D&D plays out. No, I run it differently. DM is king. Unless you know the nuance with that area in D&D, you can kiss my ass, you fucking small-minded fucking mediocre fucking minded fucking nerd looking at D&D. You don't know shit. Take your simple-minded thoughts, stick them up your ass, get moving. You bore me. You bore me. Right? Just fucking go away. Creative people do not see things in these limited ways, nor would I. Right? But a lot of guys tribe. There's a lot of tribal stuff, especially online. You get on, you'll see, oh, the World of Darkness guys don't like certain people. The Traveler people don't like D&D people. Well, it's hard to pigeonhole me because I ran D&D, I ran Traveler, I ran World of Darkness. I run them all. I consider them games. I like each one of them for their own reasons. And are they vastly different? Yeah, Traveler is vastly different from D&D. I still love D&D. But does it mean that I run D&D in a very simple-minded way? No. No. Give me a second. Give me a moment. 2 seconds. 2 seconds, folks. Hope I wasn't gone too long. Well, I wasn't. I know it wasn't. Pipeline punch. Good. Good. Need energy, baby. Need energy. Need more. I want to down this thing almost, to be honest. I want to down it as much as I can, just to get the high, the sugar high. I don't drink anything with sugar in it anymore. So when I drink these, I get a spike, dude. Bathroom pizza. That was gone for 2 seconds. Bathroom pipeline punch. Oh, dude. Tonight, I'm covering Unknown Armies, a horror game. A Lovecraftian horror game that uses conspiracy theory shit, occult stuff. It's like something. It's not like it's like using the Lovecraftian without pigeonholing into the Call of Cthulhu stuff. Good evening. Good evening. See a Black Rose, yeah. I don't know if you've seen it. I won't say too much about it, but I watched this guy's video this morning. Guy who's a pretty big OSR YouTuber, pretty big for OSR guys. I was like, I won't say too much about it because I'm already done my rants, but it was like watching the greatest hits of my content for the last little while. It's like, okay, sandbox, D&D with storytelling being wrong, like all the stuff I've been preaching about for like the last month. The whole video is this guy pretty much repeating my stuff back to me. I'm like, well, there's my greatest hits, all done in one video. Guy will claim it as all his thoughts. I get it. I get sandboxing. It's how storytelling doesn't work with D&D. Oh, finally got an ad checking in here. Okay. Yep. Part of being a YouTuber now. You get ads, my dude. I'm sorry. I just hope they line up the ads with my content. It'd be really weird. It'd be like, here's an ad about socks. I cover tabletop role games, dude. What the fuck? At least I don't even care if they show Wizards of the Coast stuff. I'm just do something in the vein of gaming. I'm even cool if it's like Steam games or something. I'm like, at least it's games. At least it's games. I hope. But on that end, I cannot control. And whatever. YouTube, put up what you want. It's only short little ads. At least I look at it like this. It's not like 3 to 5 minute like fucking ad breaks. It's good. Short ads, we're back. Non-binary powers. Hey, Bill. It's going to be a good night. Good Unknown Armies. Now, for any Canadians that come around, like I said, Tribe 8 tomorrow night is also conspiracy theorist game, or focus on that stuff, but it's the setting is Canada. Yeah, so Black Rose at Tribe 8 game tomorrow night is the setting is where I'm at. And you could probably talk about aliens then. Tonight, Unknown Armies is horror using conspiracy theory, like, the idea of like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, occult, Lovecraftian shit, monsters, magic. Doing that on purpose, sorry. Everyone's welcome, though. I don't care. I don't care if you got green skin and long fingernails and call yourself a giraffe. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to correct you. Just don't fucking give me unnecessary heat. I don't give a fuck what you call yourself. I don't give a shit. There's no phobia here, my friends. I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care. Don't show your junk to kids. That's all I would say. And we'll get along. I'll love everyone. It's about gaming. It's about gaming, right? So I think there's people from all walks of life that love the game. Just true. So, and I mean, I got good information here. You can't deny it. I wouldn't care if you were my fellow Christian, straight, or trans, or pronoun people. If you play tabletop role playing games, my stuff, I'm not trying to brag, it's too valuable for you to ignore. Like, it's just too valuable. It's so good for you that you should just not give a fuck. Because I don't give a fuck what you are. I don't hate you for what you are, so go ahead. Some people got mad at me for pronouns a while ago on Discord. They're like, your pronoun is master. And I know they didn't understand what I meant. Like, I'm like, game master. It's a joke, but it's not like master. I'm a nerd. Well, it could be now. Your animal spirit buddy. You're a spirit animal. A giraffe. With green skin and long fingernails. I don't give a fuck what you call yourself. I don't give a shit. I came with World of Darkness people. I remember when I started gaming with them, they're some weird fucking people. But I took the game serious. When I run the game, they'd all love it. When you put all the shit aside, people just play the game. And they end up loving it. And then they show me their weird side. And I'm just like, look, just don't expect me to fucking care about the stuff. I don't give a shit. But they can't deny what I can do for them, which is I can get inside of their mind and their imagination with the game. And once I get going, once I get them into a flow in the game they like on the topics they like, I don't care who you fucking are in the hobby. Once I get going, baby, all that shit goes out the door. All that shit goes out the door. If I give you a good experience, you will be addicted and want it. Even guys who are against certain people, even Bill would make sense of this. Bill knows what it's like to get into a flow. Right? You know how good the game is, Bill. Black Rose, you know how good the game is. Philo, you know how good the game is. I don't care who you are. Once you get there, you cannot deny how fucking good that is. Absolutely can't. I don't care who you are. So, I don't care if we call you crazy, whatever. Once I get you there, all this, what you think outside of that shit doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It just goes out the fucking door. It just doesn't really matter. That is an addictive drug. And every gamer will appreciate what I said and agree with me. They'll be like, yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter if we agree or don't agree on certain things aside of that. He's right. You know, because if you know your peak moments and you know what that's like, and once you know what that's like, it's like you have to nod your head to what I'm saying. You have to go, yeah, it doesn't matter who you are once you get there. It's going to be even more beneficial, I guess, if it's a theme you like or whatever you like. Once I get you there, all this is where I say gaming brings people together in more ways than we appreciate. That's why when I was growing up, you go to the table and everybody of every persuasion, non-believers, believers, gay people, straight people, everybody gamed together because in that moment, in that flow, we all love it. It is a barrier that breaks all disagreement. And there's a language around gaming that does separate you from the outside world. It's a language we all recognize, and we can all talk no matter where we disagree. And that's real too. Once you start talking gaming and just nerd gaming stuff, you realize it doesn't matter if you're a believer or non-believer. You'll talk the same. There is a language and a focus on gaming. And I'm not trying to be too corny about that, but I think it's real. I think that's why when I was growing up, that's what brought people together was there's this whole culture with gaming. A real culture, doesn't matter what game it is either. That really breaks the barriers. And we were always ahead of our time. In the hobby, doesn't matter how people were in the past. You would hear people, it doesn't matter what you look like, who you are. If you showed interest in wanting to game, you were welcome at the table. We welcome everybody in the hobby. Because it was so hard just to get people. Anybody who would show interest, it didn't matter, straight, gay, whatever the fuck you thought. It didn't matter if you're left or right. If you wanted to play game, you get to the table. Because there's a commonality. There's a, just, as long as we're in that field of nerd, fantasy, gaming, we talk the same. So it's not to be corny, it's just real. That stuff is real. And that's what brought people together. And I think we forget about it today where we get people that focus on these things that don't matter about gaming. Like, it really doesn't matter, like representation. In a hobby where the whole point of what you're doing is to escape and play characters that aren't you. So the idea that you're represented becomes meaningless. That's why when I grew up, I had tons of, like, I met tons of, like, say, black players, right, that played the game. Why? Because they didn't care if it was white Europe. They didn't care if there was an image in the book that represented them. They knew they could play whatever. And they weren't just going to play themselves anyway. And it didn't matter. They knew they could say black character, it didn't matter. And I never met a black person that said, I need to be handheld. I need an image in the book that makes me feel welcome. Any person who was simply interested in what we were doing would get interested no matter what they seen. No matter what they seen. Because it's the idea that they would hear about. Gaming, playing a character. If that interests you, it's going to interest you no matter what's on the book. I could be in Japan. And if I was introduced to tabletop role-playing games and all I seen was Asian people, I wouldn't care. And that was the same thing for the people I grew up with that were black. I'm like, do you care that it's all white characters? No. No. It wouldn't even slow them down. If the idea was interesting, it wouldn't matter who's in the images. So the idea of representation is a lie. And when you focus on this stuff, it's not about politics. It's just bringing in cultural issues that separate people instead of bringing them together. You're not doing something good for the hobby and pretending we were bigots when we weren't, and because we welcomed everybody in. You pretend the hobby was bad, and then you pretend to be a hero. You pretend you're going to be the new WotC representation hero to save people that never needed to be saved. There was no bigotry, no nothing. Everybody's welcome. Everybody who wanted to play would, no matter who was on the fucking book or what you see. So the idea that you needed to have a black character or an Asian character image in the book to get these people to play the game or get their interest, that's a lie. That's a plain lie. 1,000,000% lie. 1,000,000% lie. The idea will either, if you're into it, it won't matter who's in the book. You'll be into it. Period. Period. Now, there's a lot of people who might have been interested in the past that ignored it for other reasons. That's fair enough. That's just people, because it's not that popular. Nerds play. You see a lot of people in the hobby today, not because they're showing black characters or anything like that. There's more people in because it's more socially acceptable to play the game. That's why you got a bunch of new people in. It's a social acceptance. A lot of people wouldn't touch the game because you'd be called a nerd back in the day. So it's not that there's images of black people that finally bring more black people around. It's social acceptance that brings them and a lot of white people around that normally wouldn't have touched the game. And I've never met a person in a wheelchair in my life, and I've known all kinds of play these games, who said, I want to play a character in a wheelchair. So, like, I know that was sort of fun, ha, but people did sort of push it as a serious thing. Representation. I'm like, okay, guy that's in a wheelchair that I know, the military guys that I would know that were really in wheelchairs. Do you want to play someone who's able-bodied, can stand up and do stuff? Yeah, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. You do that because you want to escape the problems you have in the real world, right? Yeah. It's like I want to play a character who can cast magic. I can't do that in the real world. I want to play a fighter who can fight half, a fucking platoon of fucking people coming at him. I couldn't do that. So you want to play characters that are above and beyond what you can do yourself. It's part of escapism. in most cases. And when you play real people, you're still not going to just play yourself. Not in most cases. And even the one game I know, Villains and Vigilantes, it's the one game that really said to players, play yourself. What did 99% of people do with Villains and Vigilantes? Just made up different characters that weren't themselves. Everybody did it. It's so common that the concept that people even used, like played themselves in the game, became a joke. Nobody did. So in the one game where you could do it, everybody rejected doing it. Go figure. So that's not to give you guys a political speech, because I don't believe that's not my point. It really isn't. It is just to say everyone's accepted, and there's never been bigotry or reason people wouldn't come into the hobby. It's just living a lie, and then people pretending to be heroes. Alongside half seagulls, herring butter. Yeah, if we were doing lycanthropy gaming, that could be real. That could be real. If you check out lycanthropy in D&D, they had half of everything. Half this, half. I mean, when you think of a Minotaur's like half bull, half human. And in some of the lycanthropy material I do that was made third party, you could do like half ravens, half cows, half hawks, half eagles. That's a real thing. Oh, Felix back. Come back, dude. Sugar Rush. Okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to have this. Then I'm going to cover the game. So this and then game. Then we'll start the coverage. My Norway friends. Americans. I don't think I have a Canadian in the I have Americans, an Aussie, Norway guys. I think most of the Canadian gamers just ignore me because I think they're part of the circle that doesn't like me. That's okay. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Go ahead. Think you're all better than me. I don't care. Kiss my ass. Though they should be watching tomorrow night for Tribe 8. Because Tribe 8 is a tabletop role-playing game where the setting is Canada. Oh, lycanthropy game's funny. Like half rats. There's such a thing. We're lycanthropies. Half rats. Half foxes. It's a real thing. The concept of doing a game really focused on the lycanthropy and all the half creatures. I thought of doing that, but I have to make it more interesting. I'd like to do a Western where it's people and lycanthropy. Like your vampires, your werewolves, but then all the other animals you could think of as they are sort of part of an underworld, right? Around the Western. Almost like using something like Deadlands as a sort of a way of applying this, right? We have our moments. Black Rose does. Black Rose is a nicer guy than me. Texas, remember the Alamo, baby? Yep. It would make for a great little. The whole Alamo gimmick is always a great little gimmick to use in some campaign where you're like, okay, you're surrounded. Well, fuck, here we go. How long are you gonna last? I did the Alamo thing in when I was game testing. I think the first year I game tested the Invasion Neo TTRPG System Invasion thing. We did the Alamo gimmick as part of the testing, and the guys were like, "Well, we definitely kill a lot of people. The guns work really well." I was like, "Yeah." They were surrounded by hobgoblins and goblins. Yes, and it was on Earth. It was sort of a weird apocalyptic thing because it's like in the Invasion game, it's apocalypse without it being nuclear, because it's apocalypse where aliens and magic and all that sort of turn the 1990s into sort of puts it into an apocalyptic situation. Were animals. Well, knowing them, see, it all depends. Like it's the representation. It all be about like representation. Like, are you're hunting were animals? It's like you're promoting hunting animals. I mean, you can do that with anything. That's why I think some of those groups and some of the things I hear about nowadays are just ridiculous as far as what they'll get mad about. I'm like, dude, you can just assume anything means something with bad intent. Right? You know what I mean? Like, you can assume anything is lined up with bad intent, period, right? Like, that's bad intent. That's bad intent. Not bad. Just once per month only. A purge. A monthly purge, right? Black Rose, that what you're talking about, like the purge. But see, were animals, they can hunt and kill you too. So I mean, I could argue back, say, well, hey, PETA, they're hunting were rats. Yeah, well, werewolves are hunting them. Oh. And you're not going to hunt were creatures to eat them. No, in the Deadlands you can get vampires, but I mean, I'd like to focus on it being were animals. I think that would be interesting, but you have to. It couldn't just simply be that. There'd have to be a whole gimmick behind why that is. You have to make the setting interesting. It would just take a lot of work. So many people speed together games where they're just half-assed nowadays. They're just their thoughts about games and ideas are just trash. It's more about like you play the character, you do the thing. It's like, what's the world like? And even the lore dumps. I hate to say, I do criticize some of the past games of just having too much lore, like Ruin Quest. Like, dude, it's unnecessary lore. And the way they put the lore together, Deadlands is really good actually on delivering lore to you. But there's a lot of games out there where the lore is just, it's like so unnecessary. Like when I did the Skullhorn lore, if you read through it, it's all in sections and parts. And for each part, it has its reasons for existing, but it's not like overkill lore. It's lore where you can read it in parts on purpose. Like if you're only running a game there, you only need to read about this part, right? So it limits, and with the limitation, it's easy to note the things you need just to tell player characters without overkilling on dump. Non-core demon needed silver to hurt it, so it loaded its plugger bus with silver coins. No effects that when he learned he was debasing them. You want to know why? I don't care if a creature is like, you need silver to hurt it. I'm like, okay, let's beat him down, tie him up. I'm like, why? Get me a stick. I mean, we can't kill him. But who says Who says we won't get answers? I'll get answers. I'll get answers. I'll make this guy wish. At a certain point, he'll be going like, man, that's all you got to do to kill me. Well, man, let's not rush it. Dude, I got things to do here. Could you put the stick down? No, that ain't going to happen. I hear you. I hear you. You would not want to run to me if you were like, I'm immortal. I'll be like, oh, shit, that makes it a lot easier. You'll squeal. I'll make this one squeal a lot. This one's going to squeal quite a bit. He's going to... it's one of those situations where you wish you could die. It's like, shit, he's immortal. I didn't know you could pop that out of him. Hey, dude, can you still see? Oh, dude, I'm evil. You would have. I remember playing characters when I was young. We get a certain game master, and I'd have to get an open-minded guy, but I'd be like, and it depends on who I'm playing with. He'd be like, all right, Steven, you're you can do whatever you want. I'm like, I'm gonna make a lawful evil character. He's like, oh, what are these games, eh? It's like, hey guys, you want to do evil? I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, one of those games. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Is there a gang in the town? Yeah. I like to meet them. See, when I've been told you can't play evil campaigns with D&D, I'm like, well, dude, I've done it. And it can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. I remember the one game started me on a prison island. I was like, wow, okay, this is going to be fun. Consider animal culture appropriation, so just play a chicken nugget. There you go, baby. It is, but you got to get the right mindset and the right people, and then you got to be okay with the goals you're going for, because you got to just get people, like, it's like not celebrating evil. I feel like if you play evil characters, you're evil. I'm like, dude, that's not it. Jeez. Look, if I'm pretending I can have fun, would I really want to do this stuff in real life? Absolutely not. It's like when I ran Paranoia, and I'm doing friend computer, and I'm being twisted with the friend computer, and being twisted with how the game goes on the players. Everybody knows me in real life. I'm like, look, Steven's really a sweetheart. He's a nice guy, but look, if you fucking put him in a situation where he can fuck with you, he'll have fun. It won't be serious because it's make-believe. So I know I can have fun in make-believe world. Would I actually endorse this stuff in real life? No, I'm fucking find it horrendous in real life. Dice to put on my birthday cake. Well, hey, smart wife. She knows you like the gaming. And probably going to make something look cool. Make something look cool. Or it's just simple, but simple works too if it tastes good. Right? But wouldn't it be cool if she comes in with like some type of like frosty miniature? Yeah, Bill, is it your fucking birthday, my dude? Let us know. I hate to find out afterwards. I don't know you that well, so you gotta give us a heads up here. Is it your birthday or birthday coming up? In a day or two or something? Don't eat the D4. God damn right. Or she might even be taking the dice to copy them, which would be cool. Then you could eat her D4, whatever she's making. We'll give Bill a moment here to respond before I jump in. Maybe. At least I'll have another drink. Okay. Well, Bill, if you mention it's your birthday, we'll stop and say happy birthday to you. You mentioned your birthday coming up. Tell me which day. We'll see if I'm streaming on the day. If you want to pop in, we'll say happy birthday to you. I'm not going to sing a song, my dude. Well, you would definitely feel that. I agree, Black Rose. Okay. Well, even if you got a minute, show up for a minute so we can all say happy birthday to you tomorrow. And if worst comes to worst, happy birthday, Bill. Have a good one, my friend. But if you can show up, well, if I can say it to you, because we love you. So if you get a moment, stop by. All right. Yeah, same with me. Okay. Unknown Armies, 1998, influences and birth of the game. A different kind of horror RPG. Unknown Armies was created by John Scott Tynes and Greg Stoltz and published by Atlas Games in 1998. Rather than focusing on ancient monsters, gothic vampires, or traditional fantasy magic, it presented a modern world where reality itself could be bent by obsession, belief, and symbolism. The designers wanted horror to come from people, ideas, and the personal cost of pursuing power rather than simply fighting supernatural creatures. It was a game about damaged people making dangerous choices in a world where belief could literally reshape reality. Meg is a bitch from Texas. Maybe. A difficult road to publication. Unknown Armies was originally being developed for Archon Games, but the company collapsed before publication. The rights returned to the creators, and Atlas Games picked up the project, releasing it in 1998. What might have been a lost game instead became one of Atlas's best-known role-playing lines. Breaking away from existing horror RPGs. During the 1990s, horror role-playing games were largely defined by games like Call of Cthulhu and Vampire. I hear you there. Vampire the Masquerade, that is. Unknown Armies deliberately chose a different path. Instead of a world secretly dominated by familiar horror monsters or uncaring cosmic entities, it imagined an occult underground where the people with the strongest obsessions and beliefs became the true movers behind hidden events. Humanity created its own supernatural horrors. The greatest danger was often not an ancient creature lurking in the shadows, but an ordinary person willing to sacrifice everything in the pursuit of an impossible goal. This approach gave players far greater agency, placing their characters at the center of the story rather than making them small figures struggling against overwhelming supernatural forces. Oh, cool. Yes. It's good to have that type of sharing stuff with other players. Okay. Influences. Unknown Armies drew inspiration from a wide range of literature, philosophy, and modern culture rather than a single fictional setting. Major influences included modern urban legends and conspiracy theories. The idea of chaos magic, particularly the concept that belief and symbolism can shape reality. Although the game transformed these ideas into its own unique occult system, just to be clear, the writings of Robert Anton Wilson, especially his exploration of belief systems, hidden realities, and conspiracies. Foucault's Pendulum by Umberto Eco, which explored conspiracies, secret societies, and the human tendency to create patterns and hidden meanings. The surreal storytelling of Grant Morrison in modern comic books. The achievement of H.P. Lovecraft in creating an entirely original mythology. Rather than borrowing the Cthulhu mythos, the designers wanted to build a completely new modern mythology of their own. Crime fiction, psychological horror, and underground counterculture. So basically, in this game, there's some fantasy, there's some of this, but a lot of the cause of angst and what's going on is people. And that's a big focus to this, but there is fantasy. Creating a new occult mythology. One of the designer's major goal was to avoid relying on established mythologies. Rather than filling the world with vampires, werewolves, demons, or Lovecraftian gods, Unknown Armies introduced its own occult cosmology. Concepts such as invisible clergy, archetypes, and humanity's potential to ascend into positions of symbolic power gave the setting a mythology that felt entirely its own while remaining hidden beneath everyday modern life. This originality helped distinguish the game from nearly every other supernatural RPG available at the time. So, why you got your Call of Cthulhu, you got all this that is just copying from things from the real world. Here's a game just saying, we're creating our complete own thing. So you're not just going to find this mythology or these ideas just anywhere or even in other games. You got to come to this game to encounter what we're doing. It's a great way to attract people. Obsession at the central as the central theme. So obsession as the central theme. The defining idea behind Unknown Armies was obsession grants power. Instead of learning magic through ancient spell books or divine gifts, characters became powerful because they devoted themselves completely to an idea, vice, profession, or philosophy. The more obsessed someone became, the more capable they were at altering reality, but always at an increasing personal cost. This philosophy made characters' motivations, flaws, and psychological state just as important as their statistics, something that was uncommon in many RPGs of the late 1990s. So, look, the more bent you were over something, like the more obsessed you were, the more you were like, I am this, like a crazy person. Ironically, it would come at a cost, but it would bring you power. So it's like the more fucked up your character is, the stronger they are. It's already Sunday here, so happy birthday, Bill. Following the concept of modern culture, and we are doomed. Just about, baby. Psychology at the heart of the game. Unknown Armies placed an unusual emphasis on psychological consequences. Rather than treating sanity or trauma as simple numerical penalties, the game explored how violence, fear, helplessness, isolation, and the unnatural change people over time. Greg Stoltz's own experience working alongside social workers dealing with abused children helped influences the game's serious treatment of trauma and damaged personalities, giving many of its psychological themes a grounded quality. A new style of modern occultism. Instead of a traditional fantasy spellcasting, Unknown Armies imagined a hidden world where magic followed symbolic rules and personal beliefs. Every magical tradition operated according to its own strange internal logic, and practitioners gained power by embracing paradoxes, rituals, and obsessions that would appear irrational to ordinary people. The result was an occult underground that felt mysterious, bizarre, and distinctly modern rather than medieval or Gothic. So, the more psycho you were, instead of being someone that would be like, you might be laughed at usually because you're someone who's fucked up, like you're fucked up like mentally, you're obsessed with things, you're all over the place. This is going to strangely reward that kind of person. Right? That person is somewhat rewarded in the process. Okay. Unknown Armies. I hope you're not hearing too much background noise. The Game Master's, so how to run it. The Game Master's mindset. Unknown Armies is less about running a series of adventures and more about following the consequences of people's decisions. As the Game Master, create pressure instead of predetermined stories. So instead of putting plots and all that in, it's pressures behind the character. You could owe something. We've talked about this before. This is something to do like Traveler. Pressures to get the character needing to do something. You can't stay here for too long. You don't got this secured down. You need to find this thing. Pressure. So pressure instead of predetermined stories, meaning pressures instead of plots. So not like a pre-planned plot, just pressures. Present difficult choices. Let players decide how far they are willing to go. Allow the world to react naturally to those decisions. This is definitely in the vein of Traveler. The campaign should feel like it grows on its own rather than following a scripted path. Let the characters drive the story. Build adventures around player characters. So this is sandboxing. I've told you about the sandbox. Don't create hooks. Let players just play and react to them. Develop from what they're doing. So be ready to improvise. See, we nowadays, because of plots and railroading, the idea of improvising sounds challenging to a lot of people. But want to know why? Because most of the top voices around here are the raw module guys. Most old school YouTubers are the raw module guys. Most people now pushing are 5e people that run the game straight out of the book. They are people that have a hard time doing basic improvisation. Yet back in the real old school, as real old school people know, improvisation as a game master was so commonplace that it was just expected, and you were expected to be talented enough to do it. If not, you would not be at the head of the table to begin with. So that's why designers would not be concerned about expecting sandboxing and improvisation. They thought just naturally they would be the people running the game, right? But now when you hear people talking, they do make this type of gaming sound very challenging, even though back in the day when I was in, all the DMs I knew that weren't raw tournament module guys were all guys who could improvise like breathing air because it was an expectation. Now it's almost foreign. Isn't that sad? But this is why a lot of the old school games, when I'm explaining stuff, can sound really off to people. Like, you got to improvise everything. It's all sandbox here. Because sandbox already sounds challenging to people when I put that out there. But I'm like, not to real old school people, it doesn't sound challenging. It sounds normal. Like, that's why I know Bill relates with it. When I talk about the sandboxing, because he's a Mysteria guy, so you can't get around sandboxing. Like, it'd be a waste. I'd hate to do modules with Mysteria. You'd make Mysteria pointless. Mysteria is built for you doing your own thing. It's built from people that did create through sandboxing, so it's built for it. It's just that was common when me and Bill started. In today's online community, it's not common at all. It's actually considered almost impossible too. People lie to you and say, you can't really do that. Well, that's sort of weird because that's what 90% of the guys did back in the day, like breathing air. But anyway, build adventures around the player characters. Use personal ambitions, relationships, careers, financial problems, family obligations, friendships, rivalries, personal obsessions. When players care about what is happening, the story almost writes itself. You don't got to think of too many plots. They're going to develop in front of you. It's just going to come together. It's not hard. Your common sense is, you don't need to be scared of stuff. Your common sense will figure this out. That's why I say to people, sandbox the adventure. You don't need the module. Sandboxing and improvisation is easy. It's actually easy. You will come to these things as you're running through a session. I can make this guy this. It's really not hard. But if you don't do it, what is really easy to do, you can make it sound tedious. And the more you avoid doing it, the more you can make it challenging for yourself. All right? Keep the occult mysteries. The hidden world should never feel completely understood. Don't explain every magical event. Let occult experts disagree. Allow rumors to be wrong. Keep ancient mysteries unsolved. Introduce strange ideas without immediately answering them. Players should always feel there is another layer beneath what is currently known. You want to play vague and careless on purpose. Let people make guesses at the table without correcting. Don't try to keep people informed. Have even NPCs like assume things that are wrong. The NPCs, like, I think, like, even says this is how it is, and they get down there and they're like, it's not how it is. What the fuck was that guy saying? Like, and do it on purpose. Now, some guys could get it right, but don't be afraid to be a little random and having some NPCs completely not know, or not having someone go to their way to correct an incorrect thing. Don't you try to incorrect like you need to give the right answer. and introduce things in vague ways. Lead players confused, like, what does that mean? So sometimes just throw something in there where you know it's like you would need more information than that, but you're not going to give it. Like they're going to have to get that later if they want to. Keep magic strange. Even experienced characters shouldn't become comfortable with magic. Introduce new rituals, unusual magic traditions, impossible coincidences, occult practices nobody fully understands. The deeper characters go into occult underground, the stranger it should become. So you're going to have options. What you want to do is introduce some of them where you don't give the full answer at all. We're back to the vagueness. Magic should be the same thing. Do not go out of your way to explain this stuff. Actually, purposely want to almost cause confusion. Like it's going to naturally happen anyway. The less you put in there, it's going to manipulate and cause confusion. Let people be confused. So, because a lot of game masters can instinctively want to correct something. You just instinctively want to correct something. Trust me, you'll feel it. You're a nerd. You'll feel it. Don't. Like, just have the patience. Like, let them fucking. Okay, sure, yeah. Let them go on. Let them be sure of something. Well, it has to be this. Okay. Poker face, dude. The whole time. When they get it right, cool. When they get it wrong, cool. Same reaction. And be conscious of your reaction. Poker face as a game master is very important. You can give yourself away really easy. Some players will pick up on it. When they're right, you'll be like, yeah. When they're wrong, you'll be like, mm-hmm. You'll be like, dude, I didn't get that one right. He's not reacting the same way. Don't let players catch it on you. Try to keep that in mind. React the same way when people are confused as to when they get it right. Poker face. That's important because some players really do look for that. Keep the real world grounded. At least that's my experience with public players, where I've got a lot of players looking for certain behaviors. I'm giving them so poker face because it's very important. Keep the real world grounded. The ordinary world should always matter. Characters still have jobs, rent, family, friends, police, employees, employers, neighbors, everyday responsibilities. Magic doesn't replace normal life. It makes normal life far more difficult, to be honest, because you don't want to be caught using magic. You don't want to have this come back on you. You don't want people to pay attention to you. And you have to make that a problem for players. Like, dude, you have an apartment. And then these are part of the pressures, too. These are pressures to make your players have to pay attention to stuff. You get your rent paid? You know, who's banging on your door? That might be the guy looking for the rent. Right? Like, make the real world come fucking calling on them. I mean, it might sound minute, but that's part of the pressure of this game. Real world is still going on, and they gotta hide what the fuck is happening. If not, the police could be there. Right? So you gotta play that in. You do gotta play that in on purpose. It is part of the pressure of the game. So make the real world a thing. Use real locations. The game becomes more believable when it feels familiar. It really does. This is a relatable part. Use real neighborhoods, existing businesses. You can use business people. No, it's just a private game. Local landmarks in places, say in the real world, that you might know. So you can run this in a place that you know in the real world. Apartment buildings, office towers, restaurants, bus stations, parks. The more ordinary the setting feels, the more unsettling the supernatural becomes. You want things to feel more relatable. So, because I remember watching the 2005 Dawn of the Dead, the remake of Dawn of the Dead. I didn't mind the first one, but why did I like the remake in 2005 Dawn of the Dead? What really made that appeal to me? It wasn't zombies, because I'm up and down the zombie thing, right? It was that the 2005 version remake felt like the normal world. Like the world we all live in. It did a much better job of just making things seem real and then putting zombie in the real. And that made the zombie thing stick out to me. And I was like, oh shit, most zombie movies are like these punk comic book movies. Like, this is way different. And it really was appealing to me. Like, I don't know what you guys felt about that movie, but if you watch 2005 Dawn of the Dead, what really made it appealing was you start off in a world where it's just normal, man. And it's not comic book. And then the zombies are coming into the real world. Not in the comic book, into the real world. And that made it feel way more intense to me. It was relating with the normal start that you get, like the normal life. And you want to apply that here. You want people to feel like they're in the normal world, like it feels normal. And again, it really does. It does make the supernatural when you apply it to the real. Whew. There's something. It does something. Or it fucks with your head a bit more. Build personal stories. Unknown Armies usually works best when the stakes stay close to the characters. Examples. A family member disappears. A trusted friend changes. A rival magician interferes. A career begins falling apart. Mounting debt creates desperate choices. A dangerous object appears in the wrong hands. Someone discovers knowledge they should never have learned. These personal conflicts often become far more memorable than world-ending threats. So you want stuff where it's a little bit on the edge, like the family member disappearing, a trusted friend changing. It's more relatable. It's not big. It's going to stick in your mind. You don't got to go for these giant stories. It's going to be stuff you're fucking dealing with. This stuff is going to stick in your mind, and it's stuff you can actually deal with. It's not like this pretending to have some big world-ending gimmick, right? Let NPCs chase their own goals. Every important NPC should want something. So ask yourself, what do they want? What do they believe they're what do they believe they're right about? What are they willing to sacrifice? Remember, allies may betray the players. Rivals may become temporary partners. Enemies may occasionally cooperate. Priorities change as circumstances change. Very few people believe they are the villain. So this is where you can play on nuance. Don't just think of a simple game. And be okay with that. Like, the ally can betray you. The rival can, for whatever reason, the rival or the enemy could work with you. Strange. Usually that's the guy you're going to fucking want to fight, but guess what? You guys have a bigger problem over here. Right? You have a much bigger problem over here. Okay, you're going to have to work together on this one. Maybe you both don't want to be arrested. Maybe there's some shit from the real world that would bring too much heat on everyone. So think in nuanced ways and apply that to the way you view the game, even how they interact with NPCs. Just don't not be afraid of that nuance. A session, because this is a very real world related game. So this stuff is like, I know it's common sense, but when you're going to play it, you got to remind yourself, don't go into game mode. Like, be open to the real. This is about like experiencing the world. It's not about just playing a board game, right? So we want to think these ways. It's common sense, but a lot of people forget to apply common sense, right? So I'm just reminding people, apply the common sense. I know you have. I don't going to give you advice here. It's just reminding you to apply it. A session creates conflict. Everyone should pursue something they cannot easily abandon. That naturally creates rivalries, alliances, betrayal, desperation, unexpected opportunities. The game master doesn't need to force conflict when everyone is chasing something important. This is part of the improvisation and letting things you're an opportunist as a game master. That's what you're doing here. You allow things to be applied that will create the conflict you need. Well, he's after something like that. That enemy's after something, or that potential enemy is after something different. He's not going to agree with this. He's going to work against them. Common sense tells you that, right? You're not going to write that out. You're not going to pre-plan that shit. Your common sense, think as a game master like an opportunist. That's all you are as someone who improvises too. Opportunist. You see where the conflict can be in. You're like, I can do that. It's just not hard, man. So many game masters think that improvising is this blow up your head thing. I'm like, most of it's opportunist shit and common sense. And I don't care if you're playing fantasy D&D or you're doing something like this. It's opportunist. Violence has consequences. Combat is dangerous, but the aftermath is often even more important. Consider police investigations because of the thing. And as a game master, this is where you have to make this stuff become reality. If you don't have this stuff happening, this stuff's not real. So when combat happens, you have to consider there's consequences. And then if you know there's common sense consequences, you have to apply them. Heat, police investigations, witnesses, revenge. Do you think they're going to let, do you think you can hurt that guy and people won't want to come back and fucking off you? So you fucked with his brother? He's going to fucking gank your ass, bitch. You hear what I'm saying? I'm saying, in the mindset of real consequences, and it's not hurt, it's common sense. Medical treatment people need because of what happened to them. Property damage. Man, you blew up that fucking door and the window and everything else. You think that's not going to get attention? Emotional trauma. You fucked up that guy, man. He won't come out of his house no more. Okay. Attention from other occult figures. Well, the more heat you bring, the more you're like, hey, is that guy up there? Like that guy fucking around? Let's check out what he's doing. And do you want them checking out what you're doing? You want them paying attention to you? So the game master, you have to make this stuff potentially happen. Because if it doesn't happen, it's not real. All this stuff means nothing. All the stuff I just told you, all the advice I just gave you means nothing. So make it a real thing. Violence should solve one problem while creating several new ones. So basically, violence is a dangerous game and a consequence. You're not in a D&D game. This is not natural run around combat. There's always going to be heat, but heat creates flavor. I'm not saying this in a bad way. There's nothing wrong with the police investigating. It's all flavor and interesting. It definitely is. But it's just not easy. It's not easy just to get into a fight without a comeback on it, right? So it should make your players consider not just running carelessly into combat, which is good, right? But it doesn't mean it ends the game or causes. It just means there's new flavor, new consequences, new problems coming in they got to deal with. And to me, that makes the game even more interesting. It doesn't harm it, right? But it does make players stop and think. Now they got to be cautious. Like, man, if we get into a fight with that guy, like, what if his fucking group comes after us? They might. And it's good to have your players thinking like that, right? But they only think like that if they experience the consequences because you apply them. All right, very important. Reward creative solutions. There should rarely be only one answer. Encourage negotiation, investigation, manipulation, careful planning, building useful contacts, walking away when necessary. If players solve a problem in a way you never expected, don't force them back onto the original plan. Often their solution is better than the one you prepared. So your job as a game master is not to say you make up one solution and they got to follow it. Your job as a game master is to make players think. That's it. And you reward. Like here's, I always have one rule. No matter what I put you in as a player, I'll have one way to get out. It doesn't mean there's only one way. Don't misunderstand. I'm actually doing this in your favor, player. I'm making sure, because there's some game masters that will put you in a spot and go, and if you ask them privately, like, how did they get out of the jail? Look, I mean, they got in. Like, I had to put them in there, but I don't know how they get out. I would never do that. I have a rule. If I have to pause, I have to pause. But I will have a way out. I will never put a player's character in a situation without at least one out. Or that's a principle that the players can take to the bank with me. They can trust me on that, right? That I'll always have one way out of a bad situation. But I'm excited for players to think of other ways. What if we try this? I won't think of how I say no. Though I might have to. If your idea is that, just, yeah, okay, that's not going to work as much as I'd like it to. That really can't work. But you do, if they come close to something, it's like, okay. So be looking to say yes rather than saying no, but doesn't mean you say yes to everything. But just be excited when they do come up with something And don't just go, no, they have to get on my path that I've chosen. Maybe they choose another one. And improvising is the key here. No matter what's in your head about, oh, I'll get them walking down here and they'll do this. No matter what you planned out in your head. But if they get it this way, they'll be okay, improvise. They go down that way. They figured it out. Let them figure it out. Use symbolism. Recurring symbols help build atmosphere without lengthy explanations. Consider repeating numbers, coins, mirrors, photographs, animals, songs, colors, dreams, broken watches, familiar phrases, strange coincidences. Players naturally begin searching for meaning, which which will make the tone a lot better and more interesting. Meaning, if you start symbolizing, like every time they think of a group or something, there's a coin that shows up in the area with a symbol on it. They've been here, have they? Is that what that means? So you don't got to, you leave mystery. It's all about putting signs and symbols everywhere. Use. Oh, Bill, you 1,000,000% got it. And to me, what I don't like about the way they talk about improvising now, like it's a hard, tedious thing. As a game master, and you know this, Bill, improvising is fun. Why would you be scared of the fun part of game mastering? Improvising is part of how a game master takes part in the game the way players improvise with their characters playing. And improvising is not hard. That's what makes me so sad about the conversation around the oh, how hard improvising is, and people rather be on the railroad. I'm like, it's not. Improvising is one of the easiest things you can do, my man. I mean, look, if you're the dumbest guy in the room trying to run games, fair enough. Okay, I get you. You might have a hard time. If you're the dumbest fucking guy in the room, I'm not trying to be hateful, I'm just being real. But everyone else should be fine. It's fun. Improvise, tension, fun. It is exciting to have your mind on the go as a game master as you're cycling what the players are doing. Just know your shit a bit. Common sense. Keep the world moving. The setting shouldn't wait for the players. If they hesitate too long, an NPC makes the first move. Meaning, here's what it's really saying. You can't stop and think for 10 minutes in the middle of a conversation. You know what I'll do with it? Like if you show up and there's a merchant talking to you, like even in D&D, he's like, so you guys, do you want to buy this for this? And the player's like, I'll have the merchant in a few moments go, dude, like, are you okay? The player was like, say, what do you mean? Well, dude, you're sitting here like awkwardly saying nothing. I made you an offer. You want this? Because outside of certain situations, to me, time is always moving. So that's a hint, but there's a little bit more nuance. But I do pressure time, as to me, time is moving in the game. I want you in flow in the game, not thinking about the gas station, not on your phone, not outside of the game, moving, cycle time. So keep the world moving. The setting shouldn't wait for players. If they hesitate too long, an NPC makes the first move. A rival claims the prize. That's another thing. They're not rushing out to get the thing that they were told about. Somebody else got it. Evidence disappears. Well, they knew the thing was down there, but they waited too long to go find it. Someone else changes the situation. Well, it was about this, but now there's a new threat coming in because they waited too long. Right? So it doesn't mean you're trying to teach people a lesson. Like it's not that. It's not a punishment. It's just saying the world, look, dude, this is happening because you just sat around and other people are not sitting around. The world should continue evolving whether the players act or not. Let players change the world. The character shouldn't simply witness events. Allow them to change important lives, destroy occult organizations, build new alliances, create dangerous enemies, reshape part of the occult underground. Successes and failures alike should permanently affect future adventures. That's a fun part. This is sandbox setting stuff. So it's telling you what you would normally do with a setting. In a setting, your gaming evolves the world and changes it. So it's like in the town, there was the big fight, at the big bell tower and it blew up and everything else. And like, you know, like 10 years later when you're campaigning with a group and they see the building with the fucking thing off it. Hannah, wonder what happened there. And you know, because 10 years in real life earlier, in an earlier campaign where you ran a group, they blew the top off that building. That's evolving a setting. That's a mistake. That's sandbox setting building. Right. But so let that stuff happen. Help develop, let the world develop. So when you go back to the next campaign, that group is gone. Maybe the last group made a new group, right? Maybe make a few years go by, but you allow that stuff to affect the world. It makes it fun. Never make players spectators. Avoid having powerful NPCs solve the major problems. Instead, let the players become important. Make their choices matter. Allow them to influence the direction of the occult, underground, unknown armies. Works best when characters becomes the one of the forces shaping the hidden world. So when they do something, it affects the place. Don't make what they're doing secondary. Don't have NPCs play a bigger role to the point they squash the effects to the point where it's all about the. No, you don't want to do that. You want players to feel invested. That's an investment. The more it changes and they come back to play again, the more players are ready to invest in the next campaign. The more players see this stuff happen, the more they want to play this game. Trust me, I ran several campaigns with it. Players felt really invested because when they would come back, it's stuff they did had a real effect. And with difficult choices, most memorable moments usually come from moral decisions. Ask questions such as, what are you willing to sacrifice? Is your goal worth the price? When does obsession become self-destruction? Can you live with what you've done? Those questions create stronger stories than simply defeating another enemy. So it's okay to play on this hard stuff. Like to put challenges in front of them. Man, you could have it all, but you're going to have to sacrifice your family. And did you create some important role-play moments with the family? Do they have an odd feeling about them? Like, my parents are awesome. At one point, well, your family is gone if you do this. And it's something you want to do. That's what's even weird, more fucked. So it is okay, and it can be very testy, to challenge players with two sides of a coin where they actually like both sides, but they can only have one. Right? You can't have both. That works, baby. Maintain an uneasy atmosphere. So you want to put uncomfortable things in front of them. This is the combat being hard to do without consequences, the moral choices. The game should feel like an awkward pressure keg. Like it's actually okay. You're not doing bad as a game master. The pressure keg is something that keeps them on the edge the entire time. Right? It makes the game not repetitive and boring. Trust me on that. The horror comes from tension rather than constant action. Tension fun, exactly, Mr. Bill. The horror comes from tension rather than constant action. Use quiet conversations, unanswered questions, hidden meanings, psychological discomfort, moral dilemmas, unsettling locations. Graphic violence has its place, but lingering uncertainty and creeping paranoia usually creates a much stronger unknown armies campaign. How are we doing so far? We're at pause time. Fluff and the Game Master advice. Next is character creation, and then into the setting, and then into some of the mechanics. Hope you guys are enjoying, because I love this fucking game. I love this fucking game. I love Unknown Armies. I really fucking do. It is really up my fucking lane for Game Master. And if you like sandboxy, improvise, and it's modern day. It's not modern, but think about like the 90s. Don't think about like current day. You know what I mean? It's not that modern, but it's not like medieval or fucking Western. It's modern. I think it's great. And it's so much common sense that the idea that it's hard to run it, No, man, it's fucking easy. It's relatable. It's not like you need to relearn Western time that you weren't there. It's like in a timeline where we understand it. Yeah, improvised tension fun. Oh, yeah. But I mean, it's like the 90s, so you can have like the 90s atmosphere, like 90s or 80s, mainly 90s, 1998. Like, okay, you guys made it to the blockbuster. Yeah, for guys that were born after a certain year, younger guys, they'd be like, blockbuster. For us, blockbuster is like, yeah, I'm going there to rent a movie. Rent a movie? Blockbuster. The mall, right? So if you like the sort of 90s concept stuff, you can really, because it made 1998, you can really play to the 90s shit. So if you like the aesthetic of the 90s, this is a fucking great game. Well, it's great already, but it's great that it's so relatable and you can do cool things with it. It's better than playing kids in Stranger Things. Just saying. Just saying. But I think people are enjoying this one. I think it will convince some people to want to pick this one up. There you go, Nazi. Oh, Nazi. Yes. Glad you're around, my friend. Glad you're around. Nintendo 64, baby. James Bond games. No Mercy Wrestling. StarCraft. Is StarCraft on there? I think StarCraft is on there. StarCraft. Before I knew it was a PC game. I think I tried on that, but I remember I didn't even want to think of Superman. That's the worst game possible ever to exist on 64. But the James Bond games, whoo, that was a beautiful thing, baby. James Bond. Whenever anybody mentions, and of course Mario, but like whenever anybody mentions 64 to me, I'm just like, Wrestling No Mercy and James Bond. Or Perfect Dark. I love the 90s. I was a 90s kid. I was in my teen years. I was born 1980. So, by the time 90s come around, I'm going in my teen years, right? Born 1980. Not that old. I never checked the date on this, but my family always told me I was born the year fucking Elvis passed or Elvis died. Steven, you came into the world when Elvis died. I was like, oh, did I? Now, Black Rose, you're listening. Remember I studied tarot card reading for a long time? Black Rose, I did some tarot card coverage on streams back in the day. Do you remember that? I'll be getting my first tarot card deck officially Monday. I don't want to talk too much, but don't be surprised if at one point I have a new YouTube channel pop up where I use the deck. Yep, I did all the studying on tarot card reading. It definitely changed my views on life and supernatural. And and it's a classic deck. It's a deck everybody would recognize right away. It's like the most classic you could imagine. Brand new, unopened. It's coming to me through an order. I'll get it Monday. Yep. I might consider doing that, but what if I told you I might be doing a new YouTube channel where I use them? You know what that means. So, going to start adjusting, doing some practicing with them when I get them. And yeah. There you go. I don't want to say too much. But I mean, you know what that means. I did so much study on them that when I started changing my mind on certain things, I'm going to say it was part of the change. I don't want to go too deep into it, but it was part of my change and part of what I believed. So it adjusted my mind so much, I got to the point where I feel like I can use them properly. And pretty much decided I'm going to probably do a YouTube channel based on them. Based on using them. There you go. It won't be the only thing I do here, but one of the things. Oh, the wide appeal? Dude, I don't think you pay attention. It dwarfs this stuff. The most mediocre person gets more people than some of the best TTRPG YouTubers there are. Especially in the old school. Just casually. Like the most amateur person usually outscores in following. They're huge. I mean, you should check that. That's you at least confessing to me that you don't know. Do a casual search. It will blow your mind. So I'm not trying to fake it. I wanted to make sure I really believe in some of this shit before I move forward with it. But yeah. It just means I might pause on my war. So I'm still going to do the entertainment stuff. Still going to be doing a video soon. I'll still be doing the streams on Friday. But I got Mondays open, right? Mondays and every second Wednesday. So Mondays and every second Wednesday are open for some content. And it's just mostly doing videos. So they don't take forever to do. And I can definitely record one any day I want to that I got time. And it depends on how all this is doing. Yeah. I don't mind. So if I want to do some live streaming with it, I could, say on Mondays, if I want to. But just doing some videos, or doing a channel to do videos where I do some of the stuff. Just saying. I'm actually going to start a channel, most likely with it. But I might take a time out in the war channel thing. Like that might not become a thing right away. Because I'm not really confident on how much content I can do on that channel. So I lost a little bit of confidence on doing that channel because of just the content, right? But I still want to do the entertainment channel. That thing I'm doing every Friday stream, right? And I'm still going to do videos there. So I'm excited about that. I still want to do that stuff. I find that fun. And then I still love doing my TTRPG stuff. I'm not taking away from this. So I'm not looking to do less streams here, like cover less stuff. So I'm not looking to downgrade this. But it's like, if I'm going to do a third gimmick, which I want to, I'm not going to do the war stuff. I'm going to do this stuff because I'm interested in doing it, and there's something to it, right? So it's worthwhile. If I'm interested and there's an audience for it, why not? Why not, right? So just got to make sure I knew where my head was, and you can't fall asleep doing this stuff. You got to believe in what you're doing, right? You got to be real, right? So it's taken me a while. I don't want to get too personal into it. I mean, it just to say my mindset on all this has changed. So as you start believing stuff, it changes where you stand on something. And I studied it right at a time just before my mind started to switch over on things. So the combination goes together. I hope that doesn't weird anybody out, but there it is. I'm just being honest. You're going to see it anyway, so it's not like I'm going to hide it. When it shows up, it shows up. And the reason I'm mentioning it now is it could be showing up in a week or two. So, well, it is showing up in a week or two. I already have it all planned out. I'm so ahead on it that it would shock you. I've been keeping it secret for a long time. So I've been working with a deck already privately that I had from a friend. And seeing how I feel about it and going through it and learning it. And I just got a brand new deck coming. And I didn't want to start doing videos or content on it until I had my own. Right. So brand new deck, and we'll go from there. Be something worth checking out, because I think you'll find it interesting. And do I want to apply it to some of the gaming stuff we talked about? Am I still doing that with the new? Yes, I am. So it's not just not related at all. It is partly related to what I was doing before, but also doing the real thing, right? I would say I learned too much about it. I dug my head into the topic for so long. I did those streams where I would cover the cards at the end of the streams, and I kept just researching that stuff. And my head fell right in. Right. Deep in. Deep, very deep. Learn too much. I'm going to want to say unnecessary shit in some cases. But enough where I'm like, yeah, I can do this. There you go. Weird place for me to be. But it is what it is. So at least I'm raw and I'm honest. Okay. Pause is over, my friends. Unknown Armies character creation. Remember, this is the 1998 version. There is later expanded stuff. I only ever had the original copy when I ran, so I just not covering other stuff. I read it since, but this is what I ran when I actually ran the game. So this is character creation. Now, a lot of it's going to be a bit of common sense, but it's going to match what the game is. Build a real person first. Before choosing numbers or skills, decide who your character is as a person. Ask yourself, what do they do for a living? Because remember this, like in the 90s. What do they care about? But this is actually important. It's simple, but this is actually simple fun. And this is something you really should do, because this will be played into the game. Like, this is stuff really the game master wants to know, and stuff will matter to your character. What do they fear? What do they want the most? What are they hiding? What are they willing to sacrifice? Most importantly, build someone who already has a place in the world before the occult finds them. Unknown Armies works best when ordinary lives collide with extraordinary events. So you could have it that the guy lives in an apartment and works at a certain place, like a Blockbuster. But you can. Remember, it's to create real, because the real is to make the supernatural seem strange in itself, to collide with common sense reality. I did a reading spontaneous for a friend many years ago. And seemingly hit revealed that were secrets. I really believe it's a thing, dude. I genuinely believe in it. I don't think you're always hitting it out of the park. I think you got to believe it before you do it. I think it helps for you to try to understand something. Don't pretend to know something about somebody. Don't ask questions, right? Let it be what it's going to be. Just let it be what it's going to be. And that's all. I don't like fake. So create an obsession. Every memorable character has something. Am I good on connection here? Just want to make sure. Every memorable character has something they simply cannot let go. An obsession isn't just an interest or a hobby. It shapes how the character sees the world and influences choices they make. Examples include revenge, knowledge, recognition, love, justice, money, power, protecting someone. A strong obsession naturally creates stories because it constantly pulls the characters towards difficult decisions. Man, I might have hurt somebody's feelings. So create an obsession. That's really like, it's important because the game is about obsession, and you want to have a character that's going to have some issues, because in reality, the characters are going to have some issues. So they should, an obsession isn't just an interest or a hobby. It shapes how the character sees the world and influences the choices they make. Let me go about this again. Examples include revenge, like obsessed with it, knowledge, to get certain knowledge, recognition, to be somebody, love, justice, money, power, protecting someone. There you go. Decide your connection to the occult. Before the campaign begins, decide how your character already knows they might be a complete outsider, someone who has heard strange rumors. Oh, maybe that's it too. Usually it shows me like a yellow line comes up and shows me a delay. Where was I? Was I just at the end of the last thing? Where did the delay stop? Let's go back and do some of this over again. Sorry, folks, if somebody lost connection and went book. Oh, restream, stop being weird. Let me check something. I hope I'm good now. It's just natural restream outcome. Being a goof. There's a small lag one. So let me see if I... All right, we'll go back to this part. I apologize about the restream lag. Doesn't usually happen often on this one, but it happens. At least for, boom. You probably heard part of this, but let's go over it again. Oh, that's so terrible. Creating obsession. Every memorable character has something they simply cannot let go. An obsession isn't just an interest or a hobby. It shapes how the character sees the world and influences choices they make. Examples include revenge, knowledge, recognition, love, justice, money, power, protecting someone. So, look, in the game, you're going to play an obsessed character that's going to be obsessed with certain things to empower them, right, in the setting. So, the idea here is you already sort of want a character with issues. And so, you want to lean into this. Oh, the delay is chat constant. Oh, yeah. Oh, the delay on the chat thing coming here. But you were, yeah. But I just want to make sure people have already, like, if they haven't heard this part, for whatever reason, if there's a lag here, let's cover this again. Like, it's the idea that the characters are already messed up. So, like, revenge, they want revenge no matter what. They want knowledge. They want to be recognized. But they have an unhealthy obsession with the thing you're putting on them. Like, that's like if they want love. They're in love with somebody who might not love them, but they're obsessed. It's okay to play disturbed characters here. Actually, the game is sort of expecting your character to be a disturbed character. A strong obsession naturally creates stories because it constantly pulls the character towards difficult decisions. Right? Because you love this person, you don't want to let it go, even though they don't love you. You want revenge, but man, you might have to walk away. Decide your connection to the occult, like I said already, but maybe it was lag. Before the campaign begins, decide how much your character already knows. They might be a complete outsider, someone who has heard strange rumors, a reluctant participant, an experienced occultist, someone trying to leave the hidden world behind. There isn't one correct approach. The important part is knowing where your character starts. So, are you someone who has not encountered it, like a complete outsider? Are you someone who's only heard about the place? Are you already someone who has experience with it? Are you someone who's trying to forget about it, like you had an experience with it and you want to walk away? Because it's the idea is what's your relationship to it? It's just to give ideas to the game master to begin with. So your character, the way you build your character and other characters is about helping with that improvisation and opportunity stuff with the game master. Don't build a traditional hero. Unknown Armies isn't usually about flawless heroes. Characters can be selfish, desperate, stubborn, emotionally damaged, morally conflicted, deeply flawed. Actually, the game is more appropriate to a fucked up character, right? The game is pretty much surrounding that. So in some ways, you do want someone who's going to have issues. Imperfection only often creates a far more interesting role playing, or creates far more interesting role playing than trying to be an ideal hero. And sometimes becoming a hero through that craziness can be the more interesting part. Not somebody who's meant to be one, but somebody who might end up there, right? Give yourself something to lose. Characters become far more engaging when their lives matter outside the occult, create connections such as family, friends, a career, a home, a business, a reputation, financial responsibilities, community ties. These become reasons to fight, difficult choices to make, and sometimes targets for your enemies. So it's do have friends that matter to you, family matters to you, stuff like that, like your home matters, your business matters, your reputation matters. So there is something that can be targeted. It's like, yeah, but man, that makes me weak. Yeah, but you're intentionally needing it. It's you are creating something for the flavor of the game that, yes, you are opening yourself to something. You got to pick something. So a game master is going to expect you to pick something. Pick something, right? Actually, don't be afraid of the challenge of, all right, that's your friends. You don't want them attacked, but they could be. Right? If not, it's just the less you give as things for flavor in the game, challenges, threats, the less you give, the less interesting the game is going to be overall. The more in a bubble you protect yourself, the choose skills that fit the character. Don't build around mechanical efficiency alone. Instead, choose skills that make sense for your character's background and experiences. Ask yourself, what would they realistically know? What have they spent years doing? What talents help shape their life? A believable character is usually more memorable than a perfectly optimized one. Now, you've heard me give this type of advice for many games, but many games actually expect this. I know it can sound generic, but I mean, I can't get around sometimes. I'd be giving you, in all cases where you heard me say familiar stuff like this, I'd be giving you bad advice to say otherwise. And I don't always expect that everybody is checking out all these streams. So for my regulars out there that have heard this more than once, I get it. But when somebody goes to check out the stream on a specific game, the advice will be good for that specific game. So sorry, it can be repetitive sometimes. That's just how it is. Don't try to be good at everything. Specialists often feel more believable. Develop clear strengths, noticeable weaknesses, areas where other characters can contribute. The group becomes stronger when everyone has something meaningful to offer. I mean, if you try to do everything, don't. Just leave it open that other players have space where it's like you're weak here, while my character will be stronger in there, right? Build useful relationships. Relationships create stories. Consider adding friends, rivals, families, former lovers, business partners, mentors, co-workers, debtors, creditors. The more connected your character is, the more opportunities exist for the game master to involve them in the story and create stories from all that stuff. So, when you're coming up with the idea for your character, who's connected to them, create people that the game master can use to create more fun, fuss, and all kinds of interesting crap. Being real. Cooperate with the group. Every character may have different motivations, but there should be a reason to work together. So remember, unless a game like Paranoia is about PvP, most games, PvP actually doesn't play well to the game. Like D&D, PvP does not play well to the game overall because it's a game that it's harder to succeed when you're not working together. So it's one thing to have flavor, but only when that flavor works towards the intent of the game. If the intent is you're going to do better overall, taking on the challenges as a group, you want people to work together, especially in a situation where it's so, especially this, you got to do it more than others because you can make up so many screwed up characters. It's so easy to see how people could be opposed to each other that you want to intently create where it's how do you get by the potential, conflict here. You want to purposely avoid it, right? So there should be reasons to work together. These might include shared interest, mutual trust, common enemies, professional connections, family ties, a shared mystery. The interesting question isn't whether the group works together, it's why people with very different obsessions continue choosing one another. And so that's almost challenging in itself to come up with a reason why, but you should. It helps. Think beyond violence. Many problems can be solved without combat. Consider relying on negotiations, investigations, planning, manipulation, research, social connection, patience. Violence is an option, but it is rarely the only one. Accept failure. Things will go wrong. Plans fail. People get hurt. Mistakes have consequences. Instead of seeing failure as the end of the story, treat it as the beginning of the next chapter. Many of the game's best moments come from dealing with the fallout from bad decisions or unexpected setbacks. Leave room to grow. Don't define every detail of your character's past. Leave unanswered questions. Allow new details to emerge naturally during play. Sometimes the campaign reveals parts of your character that neither you nor the game master expected, meaning you're doing things and it's easy to see how you could fit something into your character. Like this would be about, so you want to leave creative room for that improvisation, the creativity of like, I can see how my character screwed up here. Instead of trying to set too much in stone, so you give what you need, but you don't want to set everything in stone. Leave blanks, leave openings so you can, but you want to know what? I think my guy would actually be against this stuff. And then be able to come up with a reason why that is to start applying and evolve the background of your character. Let your character change. Unknown Armies expects people to change. As the campaign progresses, your characters may lose friends, gain confidence from success, become more isolated, actually, depending on if they fail, change their beliefs, discover uncomfortable truths, become consumed by obsession, find redemption, or fall further into darkness. Don't feel obligated to protect your original character concept. Growth, for better or worse, is one of the game's central themes. So the idea, you could come in and go, well, my guy's pretty confident, but he fails a bunch in the game. So you could have that purposely mess him up. Like, man, he's lost his confidence. He does not want to go out there the way he did it, sir. And it's okay to play that flavor into who your character is. Or you succeeded more times. You come in as a nervous guy, but man, you keep succeeding. And you're like, you want to know what? After all this, my guy, he's just not holding back this time. Isn't he like a nervous character? He doesn't feel it right now. It's okay to evolve, change, adjust your character through that type of situation. Accept consequences. Your decisions should matter. Success may come with unexpected cost. Failure may create new opportunities. Relationships may be damaged. Reputation may change. The consequences of your actions are often more important than whether you technically succeeded or failed. Remember, it's about the experience. They always tell you, and it's true, and D&D tries to drill this at people, but they don't get it sometimes because they forget how important this is. And it's not just a corny thing. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the experience. Like, it's okay for your character to die. It's how was the life? It's okay for your character to fail. How did it play out? It's how do you experience the game? And it's okay to adjust your character in the process, evolve your character through success or failure or whatever. You are to experience the character. You're not really in a normal game trying to win. And if anything, survival is the closest thing to winning. But in a game like this, even that becomes secondary to the experience itself. And usually, even when it says survival for D&D, it's the experience that really, 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 really matters. Create someone you want to play. The best Unknown Armies characters aren't necessarily the strongest. They're ones who choose Choices are interesting. If you're excited to discover who your character becomes after facing obsession, temptation, loss, and difficult decisions, you've created the kind of character the game was designed to explore. Unknown Armies, the setting. A hidden world beneath our own. Unknown Armies takes place in the modern real world, but beneath everyday life exists a hidden occult underground that most people never discover. To the average person, the world appears completely normal. Behind the scenes, magic exists. Reality can be altered. Secret knowledge has value. Symbols possess power. Obsession can reshape lives. The supernatural isn't another world, it exists just beneath the surface of our own. The occult underground. Okay. The heart of the setting is the occult underground. It isn't a government, religion, or unified secret society. It is a loose collection of magicians, mystics, scholars, collectors, criminals, con artists, fortune seekers, ordinary people who learn too much. Some cooperate, some compete, most simply pursue their own goals. No one truly controls the hidden world. Secret communities everywhere. The occult underground isn't one large organization. It is made up of countless small groups of individuals. Some may consist of a handful of friends, a family guarding an old secret, members of an obscure club, the owner of a strange bookstore, a tiny occult society meeting after hours. Most groups know very little beyond their own experiences, making the hidden world feel fragmented and believable. The modern world remains real. Everyday life never disappears. Characters still deal with jobs, bills, relationships, families, crime, politics, school, paying rent. Modern technology also remains part of the world. Cars, televisions, the internet, cell phone, banks, businesses. The occult doesn't replace modern society. It quietly twists it from the shadows. Cities become characters. Unknown Armies encourages game masters to make locations memorable. Instead of inventing distant fantasy kingdoms, adventures often unfold in places players recognize. Consider using, as I said earlier, the real neighborhoods, historical buildings, apartment complexes, abandoned factories, old churches, subway tunnels, local diners, forgotten parks. The familiar becomes unsettling when players realize something impossible may be hiding there. The invisible clergy. One of the setting's greatest mysteries is the invisible clergy. It is a hidden spiritual hierarchy connected to symbolic archetypes that influence humanity. Exactly how it function remains uncertain. Even experienced occultists often disagree about its purpose, misunderstand its nature, reject parts of the theory, develop competing explanations. No single person possesses all the answers. A world of unanswered questions. One of the setting's defining features is that nobody understands everything. Even powerful occultists make mistakes, believe false information, disagree with one another, follow unreliable rumors. Knowledge is fragmented, making discovery one of the greatest rewards in the game. There are answers. It's just obviously not everybody has them. So it's going to be a big mystery to everybody. It's not like there's some perfect answer to everything, though there is. You just got to search for it. That's the idea. So, hidden history. The setting encourages players to question the past. Occultists may wonder whether hidden forces influenced famous historical figures, unsolved crimes, ancient artifacts, urban legends, forgotten disasters, mysterious disappearances. History may not be quite as ordinary as it first appears. Why the setting stands out. Unlike many urban fantasy games, Unknown Armies doesn't revolve around secret vampire empires, hidden magical kingdoms, or ancient monsters controlling civilization. Instead, it presents a modern world where ordinary people stumble into an occult underground shaped by obsession, symbolism, hidden knowledge, and difficult choices. The result is a setting where the greatest mysteries aren't found in another world, they're waiting just beneath the surface of our own. Okay, under the hood. So this is about some of the mechanics. A rule system built around people. Unknown Armies uses a percentile D100 system, but its mechanics are designed to reinforce personal horror, obsession, and consequences of characters' decisions rather than tactical combat. The rules emphasize psychological change, difficult choices, investigation, relationships, hidden knowledge, the price of pursuing power. Nearly every major mechanic supports those themes. Player-defined skills. One feature that helped Unknown Armies stand out was its flexible skill system. Rather than forcing every character to choose a rigid master list, many skills are customized to fit the individual. This allows two characters with similar professions to feel very different because their abilities reflect their personal experiences instead of simply their occupation. Your skills tell a story. A character's skills aren't just numbers. They help define who the person is. For example, two police detectives may solve crimes very differently because one relies on interrogation while another specializes in forensic investigation or street contacts. The mechanics reinforce character identity as much as character ability. Flip-flops. This is an interesting one because it is a D100 system where of course, you're going to think the idea is you're maybe rolling like you're rolling to roll under. One of the Unknown Army signature mechanics is the flip-flop. In uncertain situations, player may reverse the digits of a percentile roll. Example, uh, it really depends. It's like 18 may become 81, right? 47 may become 74. 29 may become 92, right? This gives players limited influence over important moments without removing uncertainty of the dice. And it can be the other way around, too. It could be low to high, depends on how that works. Match rolls. Rolling doubles has special meanings. Examples include rolling 11 or 22, 44, 77, 99. Match successes and match failures often produce exceptional or especially dramatic outcomes, giving important moments extra weight without slowing the game down. Passions. Characters are also defined by three important passions. These include fair passion, rage passion, noble passion. These aren't simply role-playing notes. They are mechanical effects and help define how a character responds under pressure, reinforcing that emotions are an important part of the game rather than just a background information. Madness meter. Here's an interesting one. Perhaps the game's most famous mechanic is madness meter. Instead of tracking single sanity score, characters measure how they respond to different forms of psychological stress. The 5 categories are violence, the unnatural, helplessness, isolation, and self. Characters gradually change as they experience trauma throughout the campaign. That's pretty much it, dude. There's a lot more to it people can look up once they get into the game. But that's a good overview. That is a good overview. So pretty much that's it. It's not like a long review. It's a short game. So it's pretty much I covered most of it. I mean the mechanics. That's some of the more interesting mechanics. People, if they like the sound of the game, can get into it, find it way more. There's a lot more to it. Unknown Armies. Dramatic, obsessed, crazy people, where you're playing in a bit of a sandbox, and the game master is able to use, that and your craziness and your connections and the real world stuff and everything to sort of, in a way, fuck with you. But in their way of fucking with you, it creates the story, right? I love it personally. I hope that was fun. I mean, I know it sounds simple, but it's not meant to be this blow your fucking mind game. It's meant to be a game where it is straightforward because they want you to do a lot of improvisation anyway. There's details that take care of a lot of stuff we're talking about. Like when I talk, it's in some vagueness. Like, what about the magic? Well, there is magic. You got to go get the game. This is an overview. I don't read out every spell, ritual, or whatever there is in detail. I never do that with these things. That's not my gimmick. I went over some of the mechanics. The setting itself is pretty straightforward and simple. The advice for character creation and running the game is spot on. It's everything you want it to be. Now, for regulars, a lot of stuff I say here can seem familiar because there's a lot of games, old school games out there that expect sandboxing, improvising. They're simplistic in the approach to making characters. Make the character a person. You know what? I it sounds like I did say that, but many other old school games, but it's true. And I try not to be too repetitive, but when you go to those games specifically, just say somebody runs across one of those games, those statements will suit the game. It'll be proper. You're going to play that game or check it out, all that stuff will fit and be right. And it will be good advice. And I give a lot of questions that the books don't just offer. So there's a lot of ask this. The book doesn't just say that. So when you come here and I get you to think about this stuff, it's all about planting seeds in your mind because the game does expect you to make characters with these ideas in your head. They don't always draw these ideas that well. So I think that's where it makes my string very valuable to the player making a character, or even the way how the game master runs it with the sandbox stuff. It doesn't spell all this stuff out pretty like exactly as is. So I'm giving you ideas of where you can set up places, the real world, not just say, oh, you want to use real locations. Well, I mentioned all the different places. I go through a list of places that you can use. So you don't have to think of it yourself. It's all in the material. You come here, you listen to this. You can just write down ideas that you get from all the little pieces of advice I'm giving you, seeds I'm planting, blah, blah, blah. Then if you want to get into some of the more technical stuff you do, I told you that the magic exists. I told you that this exists and that exists. It will all line itself up. And I hope the details that you're going to go get the game for are interesting. The magic works. All that works. Right? And it's really old school games are about performing and getting it right. So my advice really is super valuable to what the old school games are. See, new school people, they have a lot of games where it's about mechanics and exact this. And it's not about how you run it or how you perform or how you go about it. The difference is I'm covering old school games where old school games don't care about all the new school way of approaching the game. The old school games are made for the timing, performance, how you think, how you do things, improvising. So the advice lines up with that. There you go. All right, Father, Black Rose, and everyone else, I love you guys. Sorry about any lags in the stream. Going to call it there because it's really early. And probably going to have a good sleep tonight, which I probably need. I had about 3 hours last night. Pretty tired, to be honest. It's quite hot. I get some energy, but I think I just want to go do some stuff. Right. I get some stuff coming in. I got to make some notes, work on some other game stuff I'm doing for real life. And I got a game Monday. I got to run a session Monday. So I'll be running a session in real life, and I want to get some notes done from that. So I'll do that. I hope you guys enjoyed.